trigger warning for accidental outing, internal homophobia, and domestic abuse.
And external homophobia, too. All the homophobia. We're sorry, guys.
It's called smut. Give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut if it's uncut and unsut.
I did have podcast thoughts.
Okay, tell me
So
everything.
I have one.
Wait, hold on. Ooh.
Oh.
I have like a sexy one. I have a really weird one, and then I have like just a fun one. So
Okay.
what are you guys in the mood for?
I would like you to combine all three at the same time.
Yes.
And then confuse us with which is which. No, I think you should surprise us, though, and not tell us, and then we guess which one was which.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
say all three of them, and
Or
then
just say your first one, and I'll be like, ooh, that was the weird one. And you're going to be like, no, that was the sexy one.
okay. I saw on TikTok somebody draw out the mechanics of a fivesome, 1 girl, 4 guys.
Incredible.
And I wanted to know, and I immediately was like, because I famously do not like reverse harems, but I was like, I kind of want to read the scene at least and see
what
that's
happens.
like. So I wanted to know if that was something, if you ever saw or like heard of a thing that's so random that you're like, well, now I got to read this book or see this movie or something like that. So that's one of the thoughts.
Okay.
Another thought was celebrity crushes, like now and then. So do you still have somebody?
That movie's great. Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah,
was my crush.
but that you like them. You like them then and now because I've been watching
in your heart.
Pod Meets World, Boy Meets World.
Oh,
podcast,
yeah.
And I
The Lawrence Bros.
Yeah.
No. This is Boy Meets World. This
Boy Meets
is,
World.
Topanga and
yeah.
yes, and I had a big crush on Eric, who is played by Will Friedle, and I'm still.
Who had a crush on Eric?
I never.
He was the funny guy. He was the funny guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still.
He
have a
did
crush
have
on
good.
him.
He did have good hair.
Yes.
It's Mr. Feeney all day.
And but then the third one was at random points in my life I've been attracted to different members of Monty Python. What do you guys think of that?
As someone who has never been attracted to any member of Monty Python,
I gotta think we're funny guys.
Who started out the attraction?
John Cleese.
John Cleese. That okay? Yeah, I could see that.
John
And
Cleese, easy.
now where are we?
We're in a Michael Palin mode.
I gotta look.
In the
I know
middle,
John Cleese.
They're all.
It's okay. You're fine.
They're all old men. They're all
there
old
for a
men.
second.
They've been old men.
What was the second
forever?
name?
Michael Palin, Palin.
They've been spiritually old men the entire time.
Oh, that guy is 1,000.
Wait.
He
let
was
me see.
1,000 in the 60s.
No, he wasn't.
What
Yes.
are you talking about?
Wait, are you looking at the right
He was
person?
born during World War II.
Are you looking at the right person?
Probably.
They were all born during World War II.
They're
Julie.
all so
They're
old.
all
Yeah, this is
old.
a-
They were all old when you were born, and yet here we
She
are.
still wants to be.
You have to pick one is the thing.
My roommate used to call it geriatrophilia, and I know that's not it. There's got to be a name for it.
for
though,
being attracted to old men.
Yeah, like a cougar catcher.
Well, no, okay,
Yeah.
hold on. I'm not attracted to old
I mean,
men.
let's be
You're
honest.
attracted to the
saying-
members of Monty Python.
I'm not.
And Will Friedle.
First of all, Will Friedle is like 10 years older than us.
He's old.
It's giving Mr. Robinson.
You are married to someone who is 10 years older than you.
He's old. He's going gray. We've talked about it.
To be fair, Keenan has very young man energy.
Keenan does have young man
And
energy
I wouldn't
and
put
old
him-
man
I
energy.
wouldn't.
He
He's
has
an
such
old. But I mean, most young men. I've met 10-year-olds with old men energy.
Yeah.
My issue is Keenan does not look his age. These
No.
men look geriatric.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not saying it's the personality bang. It's not. I guess we're going with the weird one. This is the weird one, by the way. This is what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay, you can't change it. You can't change
Yeah.
it in post. You know very well that was the sexy
I
one.
think I'm attracted to like I've been going through a Saltburn thing.
Yeah,
And
I don't think he's attractive.
I am so attracted to Barry Keoghan.
No, I am.
Have you seen Saltburn?
His eyes never move.
Have you seen Saltburn?
His eyes
If you
never
see
move.
Saltburn, you will be attracted to Barry Keoghan.
I don't think I will.
Because
His
he's
eyes
such a
never move.
weird little
I am
freak.
now conscious of how much my eyes move. I hate you for that.
No,
His eyes do
He has
move.
dead eyes.
No, he doesn't.
He has dead eyes.
He
I'm like,
doesn't.
my eyes move
Listen,
too
I
much.
think he's a fine actor. Good job, Barry Keoghan. He rose
Well,
from
you're
nothing to
thinking of
something.
him. You're thinking of him in
But
Killing of a
please
Sacred
blink.
Deer. Yes.
Never seen it, but
What,
also
what do you know him from then?
Nothing. I've never seen him in anything.
Okay, watch because he plays a weird little freaky man, and it's
I've only seen him in still pictures, and his eyes did not move.
I've seen
love it.
I've seen like things of. I've seen like clips, and he's always just like he's moving his mouth.
I got you. That
never
could
Okay, I'm
also
going to
be
send you
Botox.
some very specific
Do you think he
clips
has
from the
Botox?
movie.
Oh, I think everybody has Botox.
I don't think he
find out-
does. Meow.
I will say one thing I love about Chicago is being ugly is so embraced here that it kind of horseshoe effects on itself to where you
Yeah.
become hot again.
Yeah.
Where you're like, damn.
That's
you're
how I
embracing
feel
it.
about Barry Keoghan. Barry Keoghan is ugly hot.
Okay, like
I
a
can
pug.
see
Keoghan
that.
is
I am not
a-
attracted
like
to
a
him.
pug.
Yes, and in the movie in particular, he has like this
pug.
like dommy energy that I respond very
okay.
very significantly to.
Take away the energy. Take away that whole character. Just him on the street.
I like him.
Interesting.
I have, but also I like Irish bone structure.
I'll also tell you, I'm not into sexy stuff enough because when you said Dommy energy, I was like, oh, like Sopranos?
I think
Now that
we
we've
need a
talked
new
about
mixer.
Lunch Meat and Tony Soprano, we can say, welcome to Femmes Reading Hill. My name is Jess.
My name's Emily.
And I'm Julie Merica.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
folks.
I interrupted your...
It has been.
You're doing great.
No, that was. It was. It's been like a month.
It's that weird
literally
little
been a
week
month.
between Christmas and New Year's. Everyone feels a little weird.
We did the last episode we did was cuckolding, and that was via virtual Zoom.
Yeah.
Our first foray
yeah.
into that.
We were going to record like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and then COVID got in the way, and then holidays got in the way. So we're back, and that really, when it gets time to my story, I have a whole fucking thing to tell you, Julie, because I texted Jessica in all caps on Christmas Day, furious about my story and what had happened. So
Oh, no. Oh, no. A holiday spoiler.
the time was against me for some reason in this last month, but
That's this time of year, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to say, based on this last week, people hate it, but I tend to not plan anything. So anything that I get done like this feels like bonus. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, that was free time.
I did it.
yeah. I was like, I did
Now
that
I can do nothing.
all day.
Yeah.
Forever.
Anywho, coming out.
coming out.
Coming out.
we still didn't get the rights to that. So.
Yeah. So
We said that in the end
I
of
can't help it.
cuckolding. We started singing that, and I go, "We don't have the rights. We don't have the rights."
So Julie, why this topic?
Well, I will say I froze last time.
Great.
And it wasn't the Zoom. It was me. I realized I don't know enough, or I didn't know enough about fanfics to really understand what you meant by tropes. So I was thinking of things that turned me on.
Those are fine.
Those can be tropes.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It did work, but I have further research and dug deeper into things that turn me on and are tropes.
Great.
Which that's kind of where I was going with this. I was like, this is a little of both. I've seen it as a trope.
Yeah.
But I kind of just fell back into something that was comfortable for me, but also like still could be more open-ended. So it could be wholesome if you want it to be, or it could be like whatever the fuck. It's kind of
It's
a
a
big
little more
umbrella.
general. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big umbrella term. It can mean literally anything.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I had a fairly easy time finding a story. It was more there were so many that I had
Right.
to narrow down and be like, what do I actually want to talk about in regards to coming out?
It's
Because
like a Cheesecake Factory menu.
yeah,
There's too much. You're
Well,
doing too much.
And because like I know personally, and also just from talking to friends, that there is no one true way of coming out
Yeah.
or journey or anything. And so it was more like, how
Yeah.
do I want to talk? What kind of story do I want?
Yeah, it's not typically a party like a gender reveal.
No,
They're like,
not really.
Today's my day.
Why not? It
We
can do that.
should.
Yeah.
We should do coming
I
out
know somebody who like
parties.
did
should.
they were transitioning, so they did like a transition party.
That's fun.
But I don't know them well enough. I wasn't invited. Whatever.
Wow. This is full shade.
But yeah, I am a straight white female, so I've never come out, so I don't really have much to say on it, and I feel like it wouldn't be okay for me to say anything on it because I
You
don't
can have opinions. Say
well,
your
but,
homophobic
like,
opinions, Emily.
No,
Say them on air.
but
Do
I'll-
it.
So I'm not gonna. I didn't do research this time, is what I'm saying, because I don't have a personal experience, or not that you have to, but I just figured it'd be better
For me to do it.
for you to do it. Which
And
you also
this should be very obvious, I think, but for some reason I didn't realize that coming out is just the shortened version of coming out of the closet. And that's how that term originated.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just was like, yeah, coming out. Like
Cute.
you're coming out into the
and
world.
you want the world to know.
And then I was like, oh yeah, obviously coming out of the closet.
Yeah, where were you coming out from before? You're like just
I don't
out
know.
proverbially, like just in the.
Yeah, just coming at just showing yourself, just being like, I'm
like it.
here, I've arrived.
Yes.
That's how I think my brain. I just never thought about it that hard, and then I googled it for the podcast, and it's like a mixed metaphor of skeletons in the closet, and then coming out. Your skeletons are coming out of the closet.
I was
You are the
actually
skeleton.
wondering.
Yeah, you
I was
are the
wondering why
skeleton.
it's specifically the closet, not like the bedroom, not the whatever.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I didn't put that together either. But yeah, it's like that is for many people their biggest skeleton.
Yeah.
And by coming out, you are letting the skeleton out of the closet.
Oh.
It varies so much depending on where you live, where you come from, who you are, what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like there is no one right way or way it should be. It is a very personal thing
100%.
for everybody. And so I feel like it's one of those things and that's why I kind of struggled to find a story too, because I was like, what kind of coming out story do I want to talk about?
I will say, when I was thinking about it, I wasn't necessarily thinking about the announcement, the celebration of it all. I was thinking more of the coming out for themselves, like the
Yeah.
discovery of like, oh, I
The
kissed
journey.
the Katy
guess
Perry.
I
I
am.
kissed a girl and I liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know, we don't have the rights to that one either. I would have belted it. I need you to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for seeing me.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't want you to get it sued, although that could put you on the map.
But yeah, I didn't really do any more research. I just wanted to like
Qui-Con.
I just wanted to be like, it's a personal thing. It's a very important thing to many people. It's something that takes some getting to. I like when you reach the point of coming out, I feel like there's already been a lot of emotional work usually that you've had to go through to get to that point. And I personally like wanted a story that was more about the like realizing that you need to come out.
Yes.
Like not even thinking that is an aspect of your life, and then all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
I have gay feelings.
Yeah.
And needing to come to terms
Real
with those.
talk, I was not hoping for the dark coming out stories of like, I'm finally going to do it.
There's
Stick
a
it to my
lot of
conservative
those.
families, because that is, it's so real.
That's
It is.
that's
But
what
I'm also,
a
like-
big majority of them that are in the pop culture that have like gotten really famous
Yeah.
are like. And so I also wanted to try and stay away from those.
Okay.
There's already so much like angst and let's just have a happy gay couple.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's what I'm in it for.
So that's what we're leaning into today, I think.
Cool.
Because yeah,
Well, we're gonna try.
we're gonna try.
Fucking Kindle Unlimited burned me
I
this
can make
time.
everything angsty. Don't worry.
Oh,
Yeah.
we can, and there will be angst because I'm me.
We're gonna put some My Chemical Romance in the bottom of this episode, by the way, just underscoring.
Yeah, just
we
the-
do have the rights to that.
Yeah.
We'll play it backwards.
Okay, so I read a lot of fics for this, but I read two that were very similar. They're from the same fandom, and so it was between those two, and I've landed on one of them. And so the one we're doing is called South Downs. It is by Summer of Spock. It's 19 chapters and was finished in July of 2021, and it's very popular within this fandom. So tags that are important: alternate universe human, alternate universe actors, sexuality crisis, internalized homophobia, and one instance of embarrassing spaghetti dancing.
Already hate that.
No notes.
Based on those tags, does anyone have a guess as to the fandom?
It's
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek.
No.
Whoa.
That's just the
it was the
author's
Spock.
username.
Yeah, the
That's
Spock
the
really
author's
fucked
username.
me.
Okay, wait.
Alternate universe human, alternate universe actors.
So does the actor mean we're standing the people who play it, or we're standing
No.
what they're
They
playing
are
as, the
actors.
actor?
in this
Okay.
in this story, it is an alternate
They
universe
are the actor.
where these characters are actors and they are human.
Is it Star Wars?
No.
Ooh,
I was thinking like
the Orville. No, I'm just kidding.
We're all just thinking space. Okay, I got nothing.
I want to guess one more. Lilo and Stitch's
No.
universe.
Is it the Lion King and they're
Think
not
of
lions, they're actors?
think of a fandom with two male leads who have a lot of chemistry, who do not play
21
humans.
Jump Street.
It is on Amazon Prime. The second season just ended. It was just renewed for a third season. Anything? Good Omens.
Oh,
We're
fuck.
doing
I should have known
Good
that.
Omens.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
You
Neil
don't know what it
Gaiman.
is?
I know Neil Gaiman. But I
Okay.
don't know the
Yes.
book. I only know the,
The book
I
is
don't
actually
know.
really good.
The book is incredible.
And
I have gotten into this fandom as a result of these fanfics.
You
I
love
am
this
now,
fandom.
I haven't read much of this fandom though. I'm a big fan of the book and I love the show, but I haven't read a lot of fan fiction. But this turned me, and I read a quote from Neil Gaiman where he was, or Terry Pratchett, where he was talking about Good Omens, and he was like, "Yeah, Neil came up to me one day and was like, your fans always look so cheerful and mine always look like they're about to kill themselves. What if we got them to hang out?" And that was like
I love that.
the beginning of writing Good Omens.
What a fun quote.
Yeah, I love it. So
What a fun quote.
I love that quote. That's a fun quote.
Come hang out with my murder fans.
yeah. So I'm gathering,
Murder
Julie, that you know nothing about any of this.
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
I'm a fresh babe.
So we'll need a whole synopsis. Do you know
Quickly.
enough that
We
you
can-
feel like you can?
We could do a quick one. It just
I pick up quick.
yeah, basically there's an angel and a demon.
Yep.
Played-
Aziraphale is the angel, played by
And-
Michael Sheen in the show.
And Crawley.
Crawley is played by David Tennant in the show.
And
Google those
and they're
actors.
like
I know-
BFFs
I
in
got
real
David
life, so
Tennant.
they have a lot of good chemistry. Also, like if you haven't watched Staged is one
It's
of my
so
favorite
fun.
shows. It's so good. I have not watched season 2 of Good Omens, but
Season 2 of Good Omens is great.
I've heard because also there's only one book, right?
Yeah, so the first season is
the first book.
Is a very pretty faithful retelling of the entire first book, and then the second season is basically
It goes past that.
Yeah, and Neil Gaiman wrote the second season.
Oh, okay. That's
and
good to know.
Yes, and apparently I've heard rumors through the Tumblrverse that there was supposed to be a book sequel that they were working on, but it was unfinished.
Oh, and he passed away.
And Terry
Yeah.
Pratchett passed away, and so Neil Gaiman took a lot of that and used it to write the second season, and they've just been renewed for a third and final season.
Okay. Well, basically, this angel and demon have been on Earth since the beginning of time, and they start to like Earth. They're like having a good time there, and
They're basically like and Crowley they've known each other since they were both angels, and
Oh,
then
yes.
Crowley fell, but they've known each other literally since the beginning
Forever.
of creation, and they're put in charge of basically they're like both the emissaries to Earth for their sides. So Crowley is Hell's emissary to Earth, Aziraphale is Heaven's,
so
and
whenever something big happens,
they're
there on opposite sides,
there
pretty much.
influencing things, like writing back to the home office about like updates of like here's what's happening on Earth.
Got it.
And-
But throughout time
Yeah.
they get closer and closer.
And basically, in the first season, the end of the world is coming, but they're both like, "Well, we know we're supposed to do stuff, but we actually really like Earth,
like
so
it
let's
here."
let's try and stop the end of the world happening." Basically, and then they do that. They are best friends, and a lot of people read it as like they're actually in love. I also know Michael Sheen said he like played it as
they were in love
They
with
were
each
they're
other.
in love.
Oh, cool.
Like he
Cute.
played it like that on a show. I was like, I like that. But-
Because the heart of the story really is these two like realizing that they like each other even though they're on opposite sides, and then deciding that they're going to work together to save the world, and then through that their friendship develops, and so their ship name is actually called Ineffable Husbands, and they've got a huge fandom that has basically built up around this pairing. And also because the actors and Neil Gaiman and everyone has gone like,
Right.
yeah, they love each other. At the very least, they love each other as two beings who can understand each other in the uniqueness of their experience, at the very least, but also probably they want to bang. And so it's kind of come from
The show's not that old, is it?
no, the show's not that old. The book is
Right.
older. It was published in, I think, 1990.
But were they already fanficking it like that?
a little bit,
Yeah,
but
not
the
like
show
that.
obviously
Yeah.
just completely blew it
David
up.
Tennant really brings a lot to the
David
sexual
Tennant-
tension.
And honestly, Michael Sheen as well.
Yeah.
Who
He's
I've
great.
always had a
He's
soft
great.
spot for Michael Sheen too.
Yeah.
Back from the what was that?
Underworld?
Underworld. Yes.
My mother, Donna Brugen, hi Donna, loves Underworld.
is obsessed with Underworld. But also, we don't really need to know any of that because it's an AU.
I'll just cut that all out.
Just cut all that out. No, but it's important to
just
establish.
bleep it. Keep it in, but bleep it.
It's very much about like but it is important to know that Aziraphale, who's played by Michael Sheen, is the angel. So he's very but he's also, his character loves earthly things. So he owns a bookshop, but he never lets anyone buy any books because he doesn't want to part with them, but he needs like a cover story. So he has a bookshop.
be there, yeah.
He loves music, he loves food, but he's an angel, so he's very kind of prissy and goody two shoes and like, oh well, I guess da da da. And then David Tennant plays Crowley, who is a demon, who's just very prickly, very impatient, very stubborn, but puts up with Aziraphale and like jabs at him, but would do anything for him. And Aziraphale is like, ugh, you're so annoying because you're a demon and you're pushy, but also would do anything for him. So it's like very sunshine grumpy as a trope,
Golden
which is a trope.
Retriever. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
golden retriever, black cat is the way we've always
Yeah.
done it. But
yeah,
Same thing.
So that
Same
trope
energy,
is
yeah.
like, that's the energy of this pairing that you need to know, basically.
Cool.
Okay, getting into the story. Actually, any questions about anything I just said?
No,
before I get into the
I'm
story?
excited.
Okay, so good to know. Again, it's a true AU. So AKA we will have the names, we'll have the characters, but they are humans. They are not angels and devils. And in this case, they are actors. Trigger warning for internalized homophobia, fear of being outed and accidental outing, and then just straight up homophobia, because that's probably going to come up anyway in all of our stories since we're talking about coming out. Chapter 1 from Crowley's POV. Picture David Tennant with red hair. It's very hot. He is broke, out of work actor, can't pay any bills, has a migraine coming on, is having a very bad day.
Relatable.
There.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's thinking like wistfully about 10 years ago when he did have a little bit of success, but he basically fucked it up by calling out a sexual predator in the industry and was blacklisted.
Ooh.
Whistleblowers always fucking lose
This
it.
is Brendan Fraser. Go on.
Yes, so he did have some success like back in the day with some action movies, but basically after he called out this producer who was later arrested like 5 years after he did this, but it still tanked his career, tanked Crowley's career, and he's basically done soap operas ever since, and like occasionally, but does not have a very long CV.
Rose McGowan.
Yes, he went on the Rose McGowan journey. He gets an email that just says script from his agent, who he hasn't talked to in like a month, and is like, oh, my agent still remembers me and they've sent me a script. And he's being asked for specifically for it is a like Bridgerton-esque period romance drama called South Downs, and he is being asked to be the opposite the male lead to the other male lead and main romance of the show. And he finds out that Aziraphale is going to be his co-star, and he Googles him and he's like, oh, this dude has been in a million period dramas. The quote was, it looks like this man has never met a cravat he didn't like.
Love it.
I think I'm still confused. So Aziraphale is not.
This is just their names.
But it is.
They're not angels and demons. They are just actors.
They are human beings. But I'm picturing David Tennant.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
okay.
Picture them, but they're called
David
Aziraphale.
Tennant
This is their
Yeah.
names
Yes.
and their energies.
Yes.
Yes.
We got a lot of the same energy.
Yeah.
But they're
It is
not.
hard to
it's
kinda
not
wrap
David
your head around
Tennant, right?
sometimes.
Like it's not
not
David
David Tennant, it's
but
not Michael Sheen.
But it's also
It's the
not
character of
Aziraphale.
Crowley.
It's not Crowley.
It's the character Crowley, like the inner character, like who he is.
But as an actor.
Yes.
As a human actor.
Cool.
And same
Got
thing with
it.
Aziraphale.
See, I think that's what really got me.
Yes.
I'm like, if
It's-
you're an
it's-
actor, you're an actor, baby.
I
You
had a
can't-
lot of issues with AUs, I think, in our first season, because I just kept going, okay, wait, so it's not a Jedi.
No.
Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
just
like
kept
the
being
square is a rhombus kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like every
Yes.
actor, every character is an actor, but not every actor is a character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm-
picture David Tennant, but this is Crowley,
got
who
it.
is a character.
So he's still got his personality, because we don't know David Tennant as
We
a
don't
real
know David
person, but we
Tennant.
do know this character, and we can build a
Exactly.
full character around him.
Correct.
Got it.
Precisely.
Cool. Here with it.
Yep.
Thank you.
and same
Sorry.
deal with Aziraphale.
So I did have a question.
yeah, there you go.
It came out soon.
No, that's yeah. It gets a little confusing.
Okay, but now I think I got it now.
Yeah. So Crowley is like, oh, okay, I'm going to be opposite this actor who has a long ass CV, who has done a million period dramas, and is a little nervous, but is like, okay, I'm going to read the script. And then we switch to Aziraphale's POV, and he's talking to his PA, and he has just found out that Crowley is going to be opposite him. And he goes, isn't that the guy that like puked on Olivia Colman's shoes at the BAFTAs a couple of years back? And there were like rumors of sexual misconduct or something, and his PA goes, I have it on good authority that those were spread after he exposed some other fuckhead, and he did puke on Olivia Colman's shoes, but I don't think he's a drunk or anything. Like,
And they were ugly shoes.
they were ugly shoes anyway. And Aziraphale Googles Crowley and was like, okay, so he was in something called Agent Cobra like 20 years ago, and then 2 comedies and a few soap operas. But I guess if the director/writer Adam is insisting that he be cast, I'll give it a shot. But he's very nervous.
Good for Adam. Thank God.
Yeah,
Bring
Adam's
him back.
really trying.
You know?
And so then Crowley realizes that the script is really good. And he reads it and goes, oh shit, okay, this might actually be a job that I get paid for and enjoy doing. And so he's really excited about that and accepts. And makes the mistake though of going on Twitter to look up his co-star, and he sees that Aziraphale has a huge following, especially like LGBTQ kids, because he's openly out gay and a big advocate at like Pride, that sort of thing. And he Googles himself, he looks himself up on Twitter, and all there are videos of him puking on Olivia Colman's shoes.
Shouldn't have puked
Well,
on
and
it.
this fic, and one of the reasons I picked it is it does something that I love in fics, where the author has mocked up fake tweets and like
nice.
other like articles and things. So like here's some of the tweets that Crowley looks at, and it's like Anthony Flatass Crowley is supposed to be the love interest for our Aziraphale. Unpopular opinion: Anthony Crowley is super hot. Look at his legs. I thought Anthony Crowley died already, and so like these are the tweets that we're getting.
That's fun. I love an interactive book like that. You feel like
Yes.
you're like cheating. You're like, ooh, it's pictures.
It just adds another element, and I always really respect it when a fanfic author is
Puts in the time.
Yeah, like it takes a lot of
Yeah.
time to come up with the tweets and then come up with usernames
Right.
and
Yeah.
the same usernames.
And not just type them in your normal font.
Yeah. Well, and the same users start to show up throughout the fic.
Oh, okay.
So these tweets will like show the journey of the fans
Cool.
and the fandom of this show South Downs with the actors Aziraphale and
Got
Crowley.
it. So listen closely, all you trolls. We're watching you, and we're watching your progress.
Yes, exactly. So the next day, the day of the table read, Crowley wakes up, has a massive migraine, and is like, fuck, I'm not going to be my best. And comes in, like stumbles in to the table read with like sunglasses on. And Aziraphale comes over to shake his hand. And he's like, clearly, Crowley's out of it. And Aziraphale immediately gets upset and assumes that Crowley is hungover, because he's got a reputation that
Yeah.
there's rumors that he's like a drunk because he puked on Olivia Colman's shoes. And Crowley goes, excuse me, I have a migraine and I'm just trying to exist. And like, I really don't appreciate you coming at me like this. And Aziraphale,
Good for him for standing up for
yeah,
himself.
he's like sassy. He's
I
a
don't
demon.
know. It's your
He's a
first
demon.
fucking day, though, bro.
Yeah.
I
the
hate
fuck?
like a missed communication thing of like, oh, but wait, like no, just fucking say what's wrong.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
mind the honesty, but I do feel like there is a kindness in communicating. You
Yeah.
don't have to
Yeah,
be
that's
nice.
fair.
You could be kind. You
That's
could
Well,
not
he
go-
what's-
also, he also
yeah.
came at
Yeah.
him. He came at him.
That's not what Crowley is doing, because
Right.
also Crowley is canonically prickly.
Yeah,
A prickly
Yeah.
man. And Aziraphale like quickly realizes what happened and apologizes and says, I just kind of thought because of all, the rumors. And Crowley goes, it was food poisoning, and Olivia laughed it off, but they never show that video. I
Aw.
still can't live it down, and I still can't smell shrimp without wanting to puke.
Oh, that's so sad. I love shrimp.
I know. And Aziraphale is immediately like apologetic, tells Crowley to sit down, and Crowley kind of sees him go and talk to somebody, and all of a sudden like the lights have lowered a little bit, and like Aziraphale comes back over with like a water bottle and an ibuprofen, and is very sweet and very apologetic.
That's really sweet.
It's very sweet. And so they get on with the table read, and Crowley realizes, which I don't know if you guys have ever had this feeling, but it's a very fun one to have. Like in the middle of the table read, Crowley goes, oh, I'm in a room of talented, capable people.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the worst.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
you
it's
go,
terrifying.
I have never walked before. Like my feet don't work.
Why am I here?
Yeah, like I'm like, am I blinking too much? I'm
Yes.
like in my
And sometimes it
fucking
ends
head.
up being okay, and you're like, actually, this was fun. And sometimes it's like, I want to go home and I want to sit in the shower and sob for 5 minutes.
9 times out of 10, it's totally fine.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like you get out and you're like, wow, I belonged there, and they probably thought the same thing about me.
Yeah.
But you still do the sobbing in the shower because you're like,
You have a moment
horrible.
or several moments of like,
Feels-
what am I
Once in a blue
doing?
moon, that was me
Yeah.
at like riff practice. I'd be like, motherfucker, why am I here? Everyone can rhyme.
Oh, when
Can't rhyme.
I first did MCL, I had never sang a song in public in my
Yeah, I
life,
remember
and
you
I
told
was
us.
overwhelmed
Yeah.
by like the talent, and I was like, oh no, and they were all very showy about it too, so
Yeah.
it was not like quiet.
Yeah. I've had that feeling a couple of times with both the immediate panic, but also like going home and initially thinking you did well and then starting to analyze
Oh, yeah.
every single thing you
Yup.
did.
Yeah.
And Crowley kind of has that in the moment where he second guesses himself, but he goes, it's been so long since I've had a job that I could actually see being good. and being something I'm proud of. So I'm just going to try to lean into it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're in the room, you belong in the room.
You belong-
Here's
you're there for a reason.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. You're there for a reason. And if you are sticking out like a sore thumb, then we can all learn something from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so after the table read, Aziraphale goes up to Crowley and says, hey, can I buy you dinner? Like, we should get to know each other. And also, I feel badly for how I started us off on the wrong foot. And Crowley initially is like, oh, you want to have dinner with? Okay, sure, I guess. And they agree to meet later that night. And Aziraphale is talking to his PA, Anthea, and she goes, is it just me, or does that man seem very gay? And Aziraphale says, we don't speculate about people's sexualities. And she goes, so is that a yes then? And he goes, just make a dinner reservation. We're not doing this.
The lack of answer tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah, and like Crowley is not, just to clear it up, Aziraphale is like a proud gay
Right.
guy. Crowley is not. Crowley has
Yes.
has been seen out with women kind of at the beginning of his career, but he's kind of gone dark publicly for the last 10 years anyway. So
Gotcha.
yeah. So they go out to dinner and Crowley's like, honestly, I think it's really important to me that we get along because I want the cast to like me, and I know that I'm up against a lot of rumors and things that I feel I need to prove myself against. And Aziraphale's like, you're here for a reason, like you were saying. And like my PA told me that you were basically framed when you tried to out this I think it's Morningstar, if I'm remembering correctly. Like you tried to like expose this dude, and so like don't worry about me judging you for those things. Like that is, after our interaction today, you seem talented, you seem cool, let's just be friends. And that's kind of what they decide to do at this dinner.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love Friends.
I love Friends.
I love Friends.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Aziraphale basically reveals like this role is really important to him because he says there are not a lot of like gay characters that just get to be gay and in love, and I think it's time for a Bridgerton style gay period drama. And so he's like, when I heard about this project, I wanted to be involved no matter how they'd have me, so I'm a producer on it, and I'm obviously starring in it, and I just think that it's really important for representation. And Crowley's like, is it okay that I'm not gay and I'm playing opposite you? Like, are you okay with that? And Aziraphale is shocked. But Crowley goes, I as long as you have all of your teeth, I'll be fine kissing you. And that makes Aziraphale laugh. And then they just have a normal, lovely dinner. Aziraphale gets Crowley's phone number at the end of the dinner because he wants to send him like a YouTube video. And yeah, it's all good. So they start filming. They're basically in these flats in the area where they need to start filming. Crowley gets on Twitter at Aziraphale's advice and starts just basically like tweeting small updates here and there to start buzz for the show. Because Aziraphale's like, I have a huge fan base. They're already talking about it. Like having the co-star tweeting will also help. And so the fans are starting to be like, oh, who's this Crowley guy? Mm-hmm. And then Crowley finds a cat on the street and does a tweet going, if anybody isn't like can put this little guy up, it's he deserves a nice home. And the fans go wild and are like, this guy is awesome. We love him. He's a lover of animals. And there's all these tweets that the author made up of people being like, he cares about animals and he has long legs. What are we gonna do with ourselves?
He does have long legs.
He does. And so the Crowley thirst is just ramping on up. And we get a little more backstory about Crowley. He goes to visit Tracy and Shadwell. So Tracy and Shadwell are like basically his de facto parents. Like it was his dad's best friend was this guy, and then Tracy is his partner. And Shadwell is like this grumpy, homophobic Scotsman who just like is saying slurs, and that's just part of his vocabulary, and that's part of his old-fashioned life. And Crowley is around that 24/7 when he goes to visit his family. And so we get some backstory and some understanding of that. And we kind of hear his inner monologue about how he is nervous about his family judging him for playing a gay character. Yeah. And for playing opposite someone who is so outspoken about LGBT rights.
Yeah. You're not just gay, you were the gay activist.
Exactly.
Except that was a Scottish
the
accent.
Scottish version. Yeah.
You're not just gay.
You're not just gay.
Gay
I-
activist.
I want to apologize to all of our Scottish listeners for
Yeah.
that terrible Scottish
Our
accent. I
many,
just
many
did.
Scottish listeners.
I
You're
wanna-
not gay. You're an activist.
So they start hanging out more and
Thought
more.
it was good.
We're just gonna we're just gonna breeze
That's
past
fair.
Emily's Scots accent.
I don't like that.
But so all of Crowley and Aziraphale is just starting to like hang out and get to know each other. Comes to a head for Crowley when they film their first physical scene, which is in the long period drama tradition, a hand touch. And so
Mr. Darcy Hand.
Mr. Darcy Hand. And so Crowley's character's daughter is marrying Aziraphale's character's son. And in the scene, their characters are arguing about the terms of the marriage agreement for their children.
Oh no, I don't like that they're daddies.
Their dads.
That's weird.
Their
That's
dads.
Incestuous.
And Crowley's hand touches Aziraphale's hand in the scene, and as he's supposed to, Aziraphale like gasps and pulls it back, but Crowley also feels heat through his entire body and gets quote unquote an inconvenient hard-on
On TV.
on TV.
The sequel
The
to
camera adds 10 pounds. Am
Yeah.
I right?
the sequel to An Inconvenient Truth is the
The inconvenient hard-on. And so Crowley goes, I'm just not going to think about that. I'm not going to analyze that too hard. It's just because I haven't been touched in a long time. I haven't had sex in like 8 years. It's not because I'm attracted to my co-star. Certainly not. And then, and then the next chapter, we get our first Southdown RPF fic posted by the fans on Twitter. Do we know what RPF means, Julie?
I was really trying. Anytime I hear an acronym, I'm trying my best before you tell me. Hold on.
We have
Real person first. Real person fiction.
yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
RPF fic?
RPF, yeah. Real person fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, and so RPF in the story is being posted by the
Right.
fans
Okay.
of these actors
Got it.
about them.
So technically, it's an actor fic.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow, Inception.
yeah, and Crowley is aware that the fandom is happening, and he's not reading the sex fics about him and his co-star, but he is aware that they're happening, and is still trying very hard to rationalize his very intense reaction to the hand, and they are still hanging out.
That's got to be wild, though, to be like in your 30s, I'm assuming. at
They're
this
like in
point.
their
40s.
like
And getting your
40s.
first little hard on from a hand touch. Like,
Yes.
God damn it. Maybe I'm just a real good actor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like your late 40s, you suddenly are like, oh, I haven't felt this in my body
And from
ever.
a hand touch, you got to feel so weak.
Exactly.
You're gonna be like, God
Yeah.
damn it. I get so weak in we don't have that one either.
we don't have much. We don't have much as far as song rights.
We don't have it.
We don't have it.
I'm just gonna keep trying to do a Scottish accent.
So they're deep into filming, and we as the reader get like snippets from various POVs of co-stars kind of noticing and going, "Are you guys
Aw.
like together? Or are you just?" And they're like, "Oh no, we're just really good friends.
We just giggle.
We just giggle all the time."
we just share the same craft table services at the same time.
There's a scene where two of their co-stars are hanging out in Aziraphale's trailer, and he's like doing a crossword, and Crowley pops by with a bakery box because he's gotten in the habit of every morning stopping by the bakery and picking up something new for him and Aziraphale to share together.
I'll tell you what, that's the fast way in my heart.
I know, me too. And they like banter and tells Aziraphale, "Oh, the answer to this is ducks." And Aziraphale's like, "No, it's not." And Crowley's like, "You just never believe me. Like you just don't understand how smart I am." And then like breezes out and leaves, and the two co-stars that watch the entire interaction go, "You guys were flirting hard." And Aziraphale's like, "No, I wasn't." And then he opens the bakery box, and it's full of the Chelsea buns that he'd said he wanted to try.
Aww.
So that night, the young ones, quote unquote, on the cast, which is what Aziraphale and Crowley have started calling everyone else because they are the old men in this show.
Honestly, I'm 36 and I call everyone else the young
Yeah,
one.
they're the young ones. They all want to go out for a drink, and they convince the old farts to come with them. And so they go to a dive, and this is when Aziraphale has his moment because Crowley is like, do you want to play pool? And he goes, oh, sure, I guess. And Crowley takes off his button up, and like, so he just has like a t-shirt underneath.
Yeah.
Hold on, I just gotta read it. It says, and Aziraphale's brain stops working. And then Crowley stretched his hands above his head, which did something entirely indecent in the belly region of his shirt, involving a patch of ginger hair and the tiniest little tummy roll in existence. And Aziraphale turned away to look at Pepper instead, to say, I believe Crowley and I would like to play the next game, scrubbing his mind of thoughts of body hair and thin biceps as hard as he possibly can.
Wild.
Yep. And so they're just flirting and playing pool, and Crowley is sexy.
And Crowley's sexy.
And
And
like, whatever.
It's whatever. And Aziraphale's like, it's whatever. Even when he notices that Leah, who works on the production, has asked Crowley out on a date. And Crowley says, oh, sure, yeah, we could go have a drink. And the next day they do go have a drink. But then they try to like go home together, and Crowley can't perform. He's like, I'm just not into it. I don't really know why.
Yeah,
I haven't
he
been
needs a masculine hand touch.
Yeah, he's like, I haven't been super into sex for like 10 years. I haven't really.
Since I puked on that bitch's shoes.
He does on Olivia Colman's shoes. I've been super into it. And he can't stop thinking about the hand touch scene the entire time. And Leah's like, it's fine. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But the plot thickens. The plot just keeps thickening.
Also, what a wild PA to first night try to hook up with the like.
Not a
it's
PA.
like-
She's the it was like one of the makeup artists.
okay, she's a little further. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, that just seems so cloudy to
It's
like
a
be
lot.
hooking up with somebody first night. Like,
Yeah.
like I would date if I'm interested, but
Well,
like
it's not the
I would
first night
take
of
my
filming.
time.
Also, shoot a shot.
They're like a couple weeks in.
Right, I'm all about shoot my shot, but I'm like, y'all trying to fuck on the first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to me,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
this just that comes off as hookup to me
Yeah,
in
that's
hetero
totally.
culture. And like when I'm dating hetero people, I'm like, oh, first date means hookup, and that can be more dangerous when it comes to work people. I don't know. I
that's
just
fair.
think that's ballsy,
I'm-
but I
I'm-
get it for the story.
I'm a big proponent of don't shit where you eat.
Big fan.
Certainly.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
would never
Same.
do
I would
that.
never shit in a Chili's.
But we do need.
I wasn't expecting
Neither would I.
I'm
Neither
so
would I.
sorry.
But we do need that as the reader to be like, Crowley is very much not interested.
right,
in
right,
having
right. No,
sex
no,
with
no, no.
this
I
woman.
get it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. I think it's necessary too.
Yeah.
But I'm also like just thinking from like my realistic person. I'm like, damn, okay.
What's going on?
Get it?
Like a week later, Crowley and Aziraphale are hanging out. They've gotten into a habit where every single night after filming, they have dinner and watch a movie together in each other's like flats.
What kind of movies do you say?
One of them is The Matrix.
Oh, okay.
And
Not
then
sexy.
another one is like oh god, Escape from New York is
Very
one of them.
sexy.
Oh, very sexy.
Snake? Yes.
But I was
Yes.
gonna say The Matrix, trans allegory, escape from New York. Am I right?
Escaping the closet.
I'm like, hello.
Kurt Russell's hair.
And Aziraphale
Queer-coded.
reminds Crowley that the next day they have to film their first kiss scene.
We should practice.
And Crowley goes, I'm not anxious like I was about the hand touch because I feel really comfortable now with everyone, so
Aw.
I'll be fine. And the
Cute.
next day they start the scene, and it's the usual like easy chemistry of the scene until he kisses Aziraphale, and he's then only thinking about the ham sandwich that he had earlier, and he's really worried about it, and he can't get out of his own head, and they try the kiss scene again and again and again, and it's not working.
Now this is the most relatable scene in the
Yes.
story so far.
Yep.
It's just not working. And finally the director calls it and takes Crowley aside and is like, hey, like, do you want to know one of the reasons that I wanted you for this role? And Crowley goes, yes, of course. And he says, in the second Agent Cobra movie, there was a kiss scene, and you did a thing where you like, it looked like your character was pausing and then decided to kiss the other character, and then it was like a wonderful, really hot kiss. And Crowley goes, I don't know what you're getting at. And the director goes, it sounds like maybe you need to give yourself permission to kiss
Ooh.
your co-star.
Go have a sandwich.
Go
Come
have a
back to
sandwich,
us.
come back. And so they fully wrap, and the director's like, we have a full day of filming like in 2 days, and we'll see if we can like shoehorn this, like reshoot this basically later on in the schedule, but we don't have any more time for today. And Crowley is devastated because he's like, this is like the first job I've felt a lot of like positive feelings towards in a long time, and I just fucked it up. Like I'm such a fuck up. He's in a full shame spiral when Aziraphale texts him and says, I have an idea, I'm coming over. So Crowley opens the door and immediately starts to apologize, and Aziraphale is like,
It's like naked.
yeah, right. And Aziraphale is like, don't worry about it. It happens to everyone. But I have he has a bottle of wine in each hand, and he goes, when I had my first kissing scene, Amy and I got trashed and snogged on her couch until I could have recognized her teeth with my tongue. It wasn't erotic because I am incredibly gay, but it did give us the intimacy we needed to deal with the scene. So that's what I think we should do.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I know you're
Acting
straight.
is so fucking gray area with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
How blurry, like, because you're like, we should practice fucking.
Yeah. Well, and he's like, it's not even that. He's like, we
No,
just
I
need to
get
because Crowley's like, this is, I don't know about
Yeah.
that.
You need to get more comfortable with being that.
Yeah,
into
he's
No,
like-
it makes sense.
We just need to get used to physical intimacy with each other. And so Aziraphale starts like randomly doing things during their hang. Like he blows a raspberry into Crowley's shoulder and like pokes him in the side and just starts trying to, he's like, I'm just gonna try to touch you more to get you used to this.
These are all things I do.
I know, me too. This is where the spaghetti dancing comes in, because Aziraphale puts on Mambo number 5 and then is like, this is a game we used to play in church camp. And they both have a piece of the same piece of dry spaghetti.
Who brings Lou Bega to church camp?
Aziraphale does, apparently.
He makes his way into church camp. No one brings Lou Bega. He already there.
Lou Bega's
Lou
been
Bega
there.
is God.
Like some kind of eldritch horror. He has always been and will always be at church camp. And so Crowley has a piece of dry spaghetti in his mouth, and then Aziraphale has the other end in his mouth. And the point is that they need the dance, but then every time the spaghetti breaks, they have to put it in their mouth again. So they're like dancing together.
They're playing this at church camp. This is racy.
So they're dancing together with a fragile, frail ass regular spaghetti noodle.
Yes.
Not even
Not cooked, a dry one, a
but not
brittle
even
one.
a fettuccine Alfredo noodle.
Nope, a sketty.
No, but it's at least it's not an angel hair.
Yeah, thank God it's not
Yeah.
an angel hair. It
And
would have
then
been
like,
doomed.
like a couple times it like snaps in half,
Right.
and they put the longest end back in their mouths.
That's so hot.
It's so hot.
I want to do an awkward
Silly spaghetti dancing.
dance.
Yes.
We'll do it after we
Hell
finish.
Yeah, and Aziraphale basically is like, this was a quote unquote game we played as an excuse to get our
kiss.
mouths closer to each other's mouths.
Yeah, it's the suck and blow credit card game.
Exactly.
Nobody
Yes.
really wants to know what your fucking lung capacity is. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit.
I
And-
do.
And Crowley goes, Aziraphale says, I learned this at church camp, and Crowley goes, you little Christian slut. Okay, let's do
Yeah.
it. So they do the spaghetti game, and then Crowley is like, I need to be drunker, and so he keeps drinking. Aziraphale was also drinking, but like
Not as much, yeah.
a normal human amount. Crowley is drinking I need to be able to deal with this amount, if
Got
that
it.
makes sense. And they like play another game, the one where you put someone's name or like a character on your forehead,
Yeah.
you have to guess, and then finally Crowley just goes fuck it and kisses Aziraphale.
Yay.
And it is too much. It is the same thing that happened in the previous scene. Like when they were trying to film it, it's just he's thinking too hard about it, and Aziraphale says, you need to relax and let me
Kiss
lead.
you.
Let me
Yeah.
kiss you. Let me lead you. And it is fantastic. And they start making out hardcore. And Crowley has never felt this much while kissing someone. And Aziraphale goes, see, you're more relaxed. Doesn't this feel better? And Crowley is thinking, it goes, yeah, but in his brain, he doesn't feel that way at all. He feels like he's been smacked in the face, and he's breathing hard, and he doesn't know what to, like, he's being hit with a lot of feelings. And he's like, is it better for the scene? And Aziraphale says, yes, and then pulls him in for another kiss. And now they're just fully making out. They're just fully making out and grinding on the couch. And then all of a sudden, Crowley's like, oh no, I'm going to puke. And then runs to the bathroom.
No.
And he's like, the puking isn't because of the kissing. The puking is because I drank too much wine. And Aziraphale says, I know, darling. It's okay. And Crowley goes, because I would kiss you again anytime. Crowley wakes so hungover. Aziraphale is sleeping on the couch. And he is aware that he made out with a man, got another inconvenient erection, and really, really liked it. And basically goes, oh no, I think maybe I need to examine this for myself, and thinks through his sexual history and is like, yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I like lost my virginity to a woman, and then when I got famous, like banged people that wanted to bang me because I was famous, but I've never chosen to have sex. I've never been invested in having sex. I just thought that I was like someone with a really low sex drive. But my experience yesterday, I wanted to do all the things. I wanted everything, and I've never felt that before. Oh no, what could this mean? And then we switch to Aziraphale's POV, where he enters his flat after like taking care of Crowley and like does the like groan slide down the wall, and he says out loud, "I have a crush on a straight man." Oh no.
Been there.
Yeah, tale as old as time.
Yeah. And then we switch to Crowley's POV. He's on a Reddit thread titled "How Do You Know You Are Gay?" and decides, you know what, I need to experiment. He decides to try to masturbate and think about men.
He didn't even use the pornos.
Wow.
No, he tries to watch porn and is horrified immediately because it's way too much for him.
A lot. Yeah. Porn
and
is always just so.
And you know, he
smack
probably
in the
found,
face.
he
To the
probably
point.
found like
Yes.
the first thing, and it was probably like way too hard.
Way
for
too
him.
much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? Why don't I just like try to masturbate and just like think about men generally? But of course, he ends up thinking about Aziraphale, and he comes harder and faster than he has in 10 years.
Wow.
And goes, oh no, I need to talk to my co-star. And so he asks Aziraphale to dinner to discuss something. And Aziraphale is nervous as all hell and goes, he's gonna like friend break up with me because we made out and now he feels weird. I know he's gonna break up with me. And Crowley ends up coming over because Aziraphale's like, well, it's my turn to cook. I'll just cook for you and we can hang out and you can tell me what you need to tell me. And Crowley basically goes, so how did you know that you were gay? And I'm trying to get in the head of my character, and I feel like if my character John, if I knew more about his journey, I would be able to play it a little bit better. And Aziraphale goes, oh, well, I just kind of knew when I hit puberty and I wasn't attracted to women, but I was attracted to men. Like,
simple as that.
yeah, he's like, it was never a crisis for me.
Sometimes it's easier for people.
He was like, I just kind of have always known. And Crowley's like, that doesn't help me at all. Okay. And Crowley goes, yeah, but like John, my character, he has a wife that he loves and he has a daughter, and like his wife and him have presumably had sex. And so like
to have said daughter.
Yeah. And he's like, so I'm just having trouble getting inside his head. And Aziraphale, I love this part. Aziraphale scoffed, Crowley, please, you can have sex with someone you're not attracted to, as if you've never gone home with someone because they were better than nothing. We've all done it. And Crowley, the question had started out as an excuse, but a light clicked on in Crowley's head. He'd read through Reddit threads and poked through unhelpful articles. Bisexual, gay, asexual, something called demisexual that he still needed to wrap his head around. He'd had trouble understanding how he'd missed the boat for so long. But maybe he wasn't an idiot. Maybe it had simply been easier to do it the way he'd been doing it. Which felt very true to me.
Yeah, that's so real.
I could see
it's
that.
the internalized homophobia. I mean, that did a lot for me in like high school and stuff. I was like, it's easier to be asexual than to have to try and
figure it out.
Do the scary thing that people may
reject
or like at worst harm me over or you know, whatever. Like,
but I was even thinking reject on every sense of the word, even if you're private about it, even if you're like willing to go explore with women. What if they don't like you and they're you're the one queer person that was not accepted by the queer, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and you're
it's
like, well, then I can't go back,
right?
Then I'll have to admit that to myself. So it's just easier to be like, this is why so many people smoke weed.
Yeah.
This is why I should smoke more weed.
So after this light bulb clicks on for him, Crowley just turns to Aziraphale and says, I think I might like men. And Aziraphale drops his spoon and takes a minute and then goes, okay. And Crowley goes, I would really like to discuss it with you because you're gay and I know you. And
because you are a man.
Because you are a man and you are also gay. And Aziraphale is like, is this a new realization? And Crowley goes, yeah, the show and our kiss made me kind of realize, and I've been trying to do my own research, but I need to be able to talk to somebody who actually knows what things are real because the internet is scary. And Aziraphale's like, okay, so how can I help you? And Crowley goes, well, I think it would be really helpful if I could like try some things with a friendly gay person so I can just make sure that I'm not making all this up in my head and that I am actually, you know, really turned on by this the way I think I am. And Aziraphale,
your neighborhood friendly gay
and co-star. And Aziraphale's like, I don't know if this is the best idea. Like, we're co-stars, and maybe it was just like the acting feelings coming up for you when we kissed. And Crowley goes, Aziraphale, it was the best kiss I can remember. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that it was the best kiss I've ever had. Did you like it? And Aziraphale's like, I did, but I don't know if it's the best idea. But then he, like, for a second looks at Crowley's mouth, and Crowley goes, I guess we should check though now that we're sober, right? And then looks at his mouth, and then they do make out again, and it is once again perfectly lovely and fine and good.
Love
and they end up making out on the kitchen table for a really long time.
Gay.
And then Aziraphale and Aziraphale basically puts a stop to it and goes, okay, I need you to leave and go make a list of the things you want to like, I need to understand more what you want from me. Like, make a list of the things you're thinking of that you want to quote unquote try out, and then we can talk about it more. And Aziraphale's, we switch to his POV the next day, and he's just like, I know this is a bad, messy idea, but I want to do it. I want to keep making out with this man.
I'm like a pig in shit, baby. Give me the best.
He's like, this is going to be bad, but it's really hot, and I think I'm just going to do it.
And it'll be fun.
We've all made those choices before.
Hell yeah.
Yes,
and
we
Crowley
have.
calls him, and he's like, it's really hard to make a list of sex acts. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I tried watching porn again, and it's terrifying.
You just write regular, comma.
Regular
not
sex.
regular.
And Aziraphale's like, you don't even need to write down specific sex acts. Just like start small, of like small things you want to
Touch
do.
my hand.
Yeah. And Crowley starts talking aloud, and he's not even talking in a sexy way, but he's just like, well, I really like your hands. Like, we could try touching in
Something
bed.
about a man's hands.
Oh yeah. They kind of start like flirting, but then it gets to be a lot. Crowley says, I thought kissing was a load of shite, but I didn't realize it until I kissed you, how great it could be. And Aziraphale's stomach gives like a little romance novel swoop, and it's very cute. And they basically just start kind of making out every once in a while, and Crowley starts to discover what it's like to want someone, which is new for him. Like, he's like, oh, I have desire now. I didn't think that I was a person that had that.
Life doesn't end in your 30s, bitches.
Boo, boo, boo. And we basically reach a point where Crowley, they are both individually obsessed with each other,
Right.
but they just haven't talked about it to each other.
Men.
Yeah. Well, people in, I know that I'm
Yeah,
no angel
fair.
around this either. And so they there's a moment that reminded me of Emily, where
How dare you? What does that mean?
where Aziraphale's out of town, and Crowley goes out with the cast and gets drunk and calls Aziraphale.
Why would that be? Wait, okay.
And is like, hi, I just want to tell you that I think you're cute. And Aziraphale finds it very adorable. And Crowley's like, I want to like touch you and stuff, but like you're far away. And why did you leave? And that was mean of you.
I don't appreciate this.
It
I feel
feels
attacked.
like you, though. Tell me I'm wrong.
Listen, have I done that before? Yes. And that's all I'll say.
Will I do it again? Probably.
Yeah.
And right
Like the
after
other
that, Aziraphale comes home, and they start making out, and they try to do more. Like, Aziraphale gives Crowley a hand job, and it's lovely, but then Crowley tries to return and gets super overwhelmed.
I do not dream of labor.
And then the next, so they just keep doing this. It's very cute because Crowley's like, well, at least I can cross gay cuddles off of the list, because they basically just cuddle after he gets overwhelmed. It's very sweet. And then they progress to blowjobs, and it's lovely, and they're just learning how to touch each other. And then the day to film their sex scene in the show comes, and it is scary.
Ooh.
What kind of filthy ass HBO Skinamax is this?
I know.
Well, do they have a intimacy coordinator?
They do, and so they're talking to the intimacy coordinator and blocking and planning their scene, and it's like a very very Bridgerton, very like most of the clothes are still on.
Yeah.
We're
This is
we're
in a
having
water closet somewhere.
It's more the
Yeah.
tension build up than the actual
Right.
act itself.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
well, yeah, and it's that era and their dad, so like obviously it's probably a secretive.
it's secretive.
Yeah, it's not like we've gotten a whole hotel room and we're having a moment.
No.
Like it's not. Yeah.
It's like clandestine, and they're
Yeah.
basically all they're doing initially for the first day with the intimacy coordinator is just blocking and like figuring out where things will go, but they are both getting incredibly turned on the entire time.
Talk about cock blocking.
Yes, like it's
Hey.
very hard for them to like focus. And Crowley is about to at the end of the day be like, hey, you want to come back to mine and work off some of this tension? And Aziraphale just runs out the door and then texts him later and goes, I was really worried about what I would do in a professional workplace if I stayed around you any longer. And Crowley calls him and says like, well, you know, I'm really good at dirty talk.
Ooh.
I've never done it with a man before, but I've gotten good reviews, and they have some lovely
Appreciate
phone
that.
sex.
That's
They
You
have
got
some
a lot
really
of
good
phone
phone sex.
sex for like in your stories.
I
found
love-
it to be a trend.
I'm into dirty talk in general,
Okay.
and phone sex
I
really
love
lends
dirty
itself to
talk.
that. Yes, and it's like kind of bossy, kind of rude, very fun phone sex. But then they find out the next day that filming the actual sex scene is not at all sexy because they're just grinding against an
Yeah.
intimacy pillow for
And
like
there's
4 hours.
People around
Yep.
you, and the lights are there. I bet that would be like so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so they end the dirty talk and be like, oh my god, and tomorrow's gonna be so sexy, and then we do a hard cut to them like being like, I think I'm chafing in places I never thought I could chafe. Do you want to just eat sushi and hang out tonight and not be sexy at all? And they're like, yeah. So it's cute. I think it's really cute.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
That's wholesome.
Yeah. And so their relationships keep progressing, and finally Crowley gets to a point where he's like, okay, I feel like we're in a relationship. I feel like I care about you.
I'm sorry, but if you're gonna relax with sushi
Uh-huh.
after work, you're in a relationship.
Maybe
bud.
you're in a relationship.
Okay.
And Crowley confesses to Aziraphale. He's like, tells him, you know, yeah, my dad was really homophobic. The only tie I have to family is like my dad's friend who is also very homophobic and would like, when I was a little boy who liked theater and wanted to be an actor and would paint my nails, one time my dad made me scrub the nail polish off of my cuticles and my fingers bled.
Oh.
Like, I was not raised in a way where this was accepted, so I'm very scared. And Aziraphale's like, you can come out in your own time or not at all. Like, it is up to you. I am here for you. This is your journey, whatever you want to do.
Secret lovers.
Crowley comes out to his agent, and she hooks him up with a publicist who also happens to be Aziraphale's publicist.
Oh.
And is Gabriel, who's played by John Hamm
Yep.
in the show. So just picture John Hamm as their
I always
publicist.
do.
Every publicist, John Hamm.
And so shortly after that, filming wraps, and Crowley is like, hey, I need to talk to you. And because he's noticed Aziraphale has started to pull back at the end of filming, and Aziraphale basically comes in and tries to break up with Crowley, and is like, "Hey, I've been thinking about it.
Before the last episode, awkward.
I know," and goes, "You deserve to go out into the world and find out more about who you are as a gay man.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's fair. Like, I love you, and I can't keep doing this knowing you are at the beginning of something.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah."
That's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, and he's like,
I
"You
never
should-"
understood the virgin thing. Like,
Yeah.
why men are like attracted. I'm like, I don't want all that pressure.
It's a lot. And he's like, you should be able to have experiences that aren't just me. And like, maybe this is moving too quickly. And
Yeah.
Crowley's like, I wasn't sure what I wanted, but coming to you about it initially wasn't just because I wanted to have sex with you. It's because I liked you as a person.
Cute.
I like you, and we should be together. And Aziraphale's like, oh, well, I really like you too. And then they have sex.
Hey, remember when I just broke up with you? I didn't mean it.
I didn't mean
I take it
that.
back. I take it back.
I take it back. So they decide they want to be together, and they slowly start the process of Crowley coming out. And so Aziraphale goes with him to meet Tracy and whatever that guy's name is.
Shadowfax.
Shadowfax.
Shadow.
Shadley or something.
Also,
Shadwell.
Shadwell finally, after much agonizing, is like, I'm finally ready to come out publicly. Like, I'm ready to do it. And Aziraphale says, well, you can't do it right now. And Curly goes, what do you mean? And Aziraphale's like, well, our show is about to come out.
Hello, time it
Properly so you don't overshadow the show.
And that's why you break up with that guy, because he's an actor through and through.
And Curly gets really pissed
Yeah.
and storms out, and they get in a big fight about it.
Up.
Yeah. And Crowley thinks that they're just in a fight. Aziraphale thinks that they broke up. And so, and so they're separated for like a month before they start publicity for the show.
Well, also, I'm sorry, but if I don't talk to my partner in a month, I'm going to go ahead and assume that's a breakup too.
Yeah, like a ghosting.
But I would have reached out to
there's
check
no
in.
Not talking for a month.
They don't talk for a month. Aziraphale thinks they broke up, so doesn't reach out. And Crowley is like, well, Aziraphale will reach out in his own time.
What a little brat.
Yeah. And so they're just like, so he just gets mad, and they have their first interview on the press tour, and Aziraphale says something that rubs Crowley the wrong way, and he storms out and goes to the green room. And
well, it looks like he just came out.
well, it's not even about that. He just is like, I need a break. I need a second, and leaves. And Aziraphale follows him to the green room and is like, why are you being so rude to this interviewer? And Crowley says, why didn't you call or text? Aziraphale says, because we broke up. And Crowley goes, no, we didn't. We just had a fight.
We were on a break.
And in the middle of yelling at each other, Aziraphale does the thing again and looks at Crowley's mouth, and that's all they need, and it's all over, and they're all making out. And Crowley says, I'm still angry with you, as they jerk each other off in a green room. And just as Crowley comes, the interviewer goes, hey, is everything all right? And knocks on the door, opens it.
Oh, no, no.
Opens the door.
Well, maybe it wasn't closed all the way, so the knocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, she
Whatever.
sees them, and it is on TMZ almost immediately. So
wait, the camera
Was the
in there?
camera there?
the camera wasn't there, but it's like an
But she-
article. It's
yeah.
like a
Oh,
story.
gotcha.
She
Yeah.
leaks it out, and so Crowley is outed against his will.
Fuck
outed
that interviewer. Fuck that.
Fuck all of that. And they meet with their mutual publicist, Gabriel, who's very angry at both of them because they kept this a secret from him, which is like what you're not supposed to do
the
with
publicist,
But it's going to be okay. They meet with the publicist. They make a plan. They cry and confess their love to each other and hold each other and are like, we're going to be gay together in public and it'll be fine. And we get a million positive Twitter screenshots and like mock-ups from the author and very happy fangirls who have been writing fan fiction about these two already and are like, yes, our ship is real. And the end of the fic is just they go to lunch and hold hands at a cafe and it's fine and no one is yelling. And Crowley's like, no one's yelling at me. I can just be myself together. And it's the most happy, freeing feeling Crowley's had in a long time.
That's lovely.
And he says, I could kiss you right now where everyone can see.
And you can.
And you can.
Oh, I love that.
Wholesome. We love that.
There we go. I gave you a wholesome one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going to say, because I was nervous now, there is something with the coming out I didn't really think about because I was thinking from the personal perspective of coming out, like figuring it out, rather than the coming out can be really dark and scary. And I was like, damn, all this social stuff, you shouldn't have to feel nervous. It shouldn't be a fucking TMZ story. It should be like, I mean, maybe the jacking off in the fucker. It should be.
It shouldn't have been.
Story.
It shouldn't
maybe
have happened. But
maybe he had his dick out in the fucking dressing room is a wild story. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like it doesn't matter that it's gay. We can also talk about having sex on the set. Like we could be like, okay, relax.
There's some unprofessionalism in this
That's
story.
fine. That could have been the TMZ break in my utopia. You know,
That's my story.
Great job.
Thank you.
Big fan.
Very, very cute. Just
It was-
very cute.
I really
loved
liked it.
Yeah.
And it also, and I know because I always gloss over my telling of the sex scenes, it is filthy. It is.
It sounds like there's a lot.
filthy.
Noted. It sounds like there's a lot. Of
There
sex
is
scenes.
a lot, and it is hot. And Crowley has a dirty, dirty mouth, and I love it.
Okay.
But that doesn't have anything to do with my game for the story. My game for the story is, who do you think would win in a fight, David Tennant or Michael Sheen?
Michael Sheen gives me, I could do okay in prison.
David Tennant's larger, like physically
Taller,
taller.
yes.
But he's skinny.
He's so
a string
small.
But he
Wiley
has.
doesn't mean shit.
But
They're
he has
Wiley.
5 kids, so he wrangles children.
Yeah,
I
but
do
he
feel
seems so
David Tennant would be scrappy.
Yeah, he's scrappy.
Yeah.
But I think Michael Sheen would fight dirty.
Yes, I think he's sturdy. I'm gonna go Sheen. I think Sheen is sturdier and would go like hardcore, like street rules.
Yeah.
I'm also picturing David Tennant holding Michael Sheen's head like the kid, where like Michael
Yeah.
Sheen is swinging his arms wildly
Yeah,
trying to
but
hit
he's
him,
not-
but he's
David
just
Tennant's
so
just
far
long.
away.
I don't think he's that much shorter though, but
Right.
in my head he is.
But David Tennant is just so
Tall,
gangly.
yes.
But that said, Michael Sheen gives me I would survive in prison energy, and David Tennant gives me I couldn't survive near a prison energy.
I couldn't survive
Like,
near a
he's like,
prison.
I think he would turn his. But he gives me. I still think of him. I really have only seen him in Doctor Who, so
Yeah.
I think of him as that guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to me, that guy ain't winning no fights.
Yeah, that's fair.
Doctor Who, the character, won nothing.
I think I would probably
Yeah, the
go.
screwdriver.
Yeah, I think I would go Michael Sheen. Yeah, just because I think he would bring that intense Welsh energy to
Yes,
anything.
100%.
But also David Tennant,
Is Scottish.
the Scotsmen aren't necessarily chill either when it comes to
Yeah.
a fight.
I guess
Throw a
I
quick
I
see
think
him
they'd
more.
be pretty evenly matched.
I see him more as a pacifist too, for some reason.
Yeah.
David Tennant?
A talk
Yeah.
down. He's
Yeah.
gonna talk you down, look you directly in the eyes. You're gonna look at
He'll
those
use
pretty
his
lips.
words. He'll use his words.
I think there'd be an element of that with Michael Sheen, yeah, but I agree. There's a ferocity there that I don't think David Tennant has.
I can picture David Tennant breaking a beer bottle on a bar though to like threaten somebody.
I think David
Yeah.
Tennant would need a weapon,
Yeah.
but I don't know that Michael Sheen would.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, I think that's a great way to put it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
What about your story?
That was a good story though.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great
I want
job.
to
Thank
acknowledge.
you.
Julie, I got to tell you what happened with me.
Okay.
I had initially we had 2 weeks to read.
Correct.
And I found a book like 3 days before, and I had started it, and then life happened. We rescheduled for another 2 weeks. I said, "Oh, great! I have time." I was working a lot. So I put it off. I started hardcore reading it like the day before Christmas.
Okay.
I finished it on Christmas Day.
Okay.
It was like, I mean, it's kind of a long book. To find out, no one comes out in that book. it's a series.
You should have sold it anyway.
It's
you
a
could have brought it.
series,
You could have brought
and
it.
I believe he comes out like later on in the series. But I was so mad.
You're just like getting close to the end, like
Where is it?
We're all watching like a movie together. I'm like partially reading. It ends. I go, wait, what the fuck? And then I look back on Goodreads because I found it via Goodreads, like a coming out stories. But I also realized it said coming out / in the closet stories. So I thought that meant like, well, they were in the closet. They're coming out.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So I still have all those notes, but I panicked because I was like, I can't come to this coming out episode and not read a coming out story. So I did find a novella. It's like 4.5 in this motorcycle series.
Amazing.
But neither of them are motorcyclists, but it's shorter, but it is a novella and someone does come out in it. So
Great.
I just wanted to
Incredible.
let you know that I read like a 400 plus page book, and now I'm going to synopsize a 170 page novella, which
Fine.
is
Either way, you're doing too much work. I would have
for you. I did it for you.
But honestly, I would have been happy with the boy figuring
The
out
rate-
his
We do this for
Sexuality.
you
Adult.
in your journey, though. This
I
is
appreciate it.
yeah.
Well, and I also, so I wanted to all say that because I was trying to find specifically a book that wasn't like fully about him coming out. I wanted to be an element of it rather than like have that be the whole story, because usually in my experience, a lot of books in which I've read a character coming out, it's like very traumatic
Yeah.
or like very
Yeah.
dramatic.
Yeah.
And so in that story, it was like he was a cop and he was protecting a guy and da-da-da-da, and they fall in love, but it's secret, but he doesn't come out of the closet.
Got it.
So this one is dramatic. And it's called Coming Out, and it's by
Cool. I don't believe in wholesome cop stories anyway. This is better.
I'll tell you about it later over drinks.
Okay.
This is
Done.
called Coming Out. It's by Lila Rose. It's 175 pages.
Hold on. For all the listeners here, I will record that conversation and post it on my Patreon. All right.
TM. All right, so it is 4.5 in this. I believe it's like a 6-book series, and I read it as a standalone. I have not read
What
the
does
others.
4.5 mean?
It's a half. It's half. Like it's,
So like
it's a
if
novella.
the series
it's not a full
is
book.
yeah, if the series is books 1 through 6, this is the book that happens between 4 and 5. It's like
But
four,
it's not a full book.
it's
Okay.
like 4 and a
Thank you.
half. It's like
Okay.
in between
Yes.
those two.
And it's not about I'm having wire issues. It's not about any of the main characters. It's about side characters in
got it.
that are in book 4 and book 5 usually.
Cool.
Or something like that.
Okay.
And
It's like an interlude.
it's an interlude. So it says it starts with like 2 years before Zara comes back. So we are to believe that Zara is one of the main characters in one
And
of
she
these other
ain't there.
books. She ain't there. She ain't
Not
there.
yet.
So Maddie, this all takes place in Australia, by the way. So
Great.
picture only Australian people.
Are you gonna try to do an Australian?
Mitty.
No, I've learned. Did you say matey?
Mitty.
The main character is named Matt. Everyone calls him Matty.
Great.
So I will hence refer to him as Matty, not Maddie, just Matty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hence why I want to tell that. Maddie is on the football team. In parentheses, I said soccer. They live in Australia.
Thank you.
Although there is Australian football, so I truly don't know. I truly don't know what it is.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to picture the hotter one in my mind.
Yeah. And he is closeted. His sister is on the run from an abusive ex with her daughter, and so they only get to Zoom her like once in a while, and they're really close, and so he wishes he could tell Zara, but he can't. She's not there. He can't bother her with all of this because she's on the run.
Yeah.
So
She's dealing with her own
she's
shit.
dealing with a lot of shit, and so he's like, okay, I can't tell her, but I think my parents are gonna be fine with it. I want to tell them. I'm gonna do it tonight. He's like halfway changed in the locker room as he's thinking this, and he plans on also quitting the team after he tells his parents because he knows that some of his teammates coworkers on the field. Some of his teammates are just
capitalism,
not,
babe.
Yeah.
Take a drink for every time you've said capitalism. Be like foreign.
Don't hang out with me.
Yeah, some of his teammates are just a little homophobic. And not in like a I want to kill someone kind of way, and a like fuck
Just
that
not
guy
fun.
kind of way.
Yeah, just not
it's
fun.
never fun to be.
Not
in.
an environment you want to be playing sports.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they're all
you.
it you buddy. The coach calls him over and he says, "Hey, it's your turn for a massage. The university is implementing this new thing for athletes.
Massage?
A massage.
That was my Australian.
It's your turn for a massage."
Nope.
What the fuck was that?
That was JFK.
Time for a massage.
It was JFK.
That was so
It's your turn for a massage.
Every American will get a massage. Oh, I'm so sorry. So the new thing, it's a new thing given to athletics by the university. All the like athletes are given like once a week a full body massage,
Like a PT type thing.
Yes, like a PT type.
Yeah.
thing. And he's like, all right, it's my turn. So Maddie walks in to see one of the most beautiful men he's ever seen in his entire life.
Ooh.
Julian is a gorgeous 36-year-old guy, and he looks angry. He's just like, can you get on the table? Let's fucking go.
Is the anger part of what's doing it for Maddie?
I don't know.
He's like, he's so hot and he looks pissed.
Yes.
And
This is what I need.
he's just like angry, and he's very defensive, and he's like, Maddie kind of doesn't say anything. He's like, why is he so mad? Is he mad at me? Did I do something? And Julian's like, oh, do you not want a gay guy to touch you? Like, I think they don't. He is described as just a beautiful man so far, so there was nothing to the reader to be like, oh, he's clearly gay. But I'm assuming he looks a little more effeminate, maybe,
or something.
or something in that nature that makes him look more.
He's got a Tom Selleck mustache. That's
He
probably
has
what
a
it
huge
is.
Tom Selleck mustache.
Like people have made assumptions.
Yes, that he is gay.
Yeah.
And so he gets all mad. He's like, oh, you don't want the gay guy to fucking touch you? And Maddie's like, no, I'm fine. Why? What's going on? He's like, oh, well, and he kind of does this thing where he's like, still like, well, fuck you if you don't like me. And then he kind of makes passes at him. He's like, oh, you like this, big boy? And Maddie's like, okay, are you trying to get fired? Like, what are you doing?
What the fuck? HR, bro.
Yeah.
And Julian's like, oh, yeah, I am. Maddie's like, oh.
Actually, yeah, you get severance that way.
Julian's like, I am, but it's none of your fucking business. And Maddie's like, okay. And so he like has a massage, and then he leaves. And so that's their first interaction. They're like, okay.
Very confusing.
Maddie goes home to where he lives with his parents. He's 19 years old. He's in university, and he works part-time as a real estate like agent while he's putting himself through university and on the football team. Still don't know if it's soccer or actual football. And his parents are really nice. His mom used to be a nurse. His dad was like in the army, and they're very loving. And he just sits down at dinner and just goes, his dad's like, hey, how was your day? He goes, I'm gay. I'm gay.
Hell of a come out story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Emily cheered from her couch as she read
Yeah.
that. She said, he did it.
He did it.
Oh, that's it.
My
And then
homework's
and then I
done.
closed it. It was so much easier than the other book I read. And they both kind of are like, oh, okay,
Cool.
that's nice.
Pass the
Like,
potatoes.
Good for you. And his mom immediately is like, do you have a boyfriend? What do you like?
So, Mom,
are you
love
more of a
that.
top or a bottom? And he
No,
goes,
she didn't.
yes, she did. And he goes, Mom, no,
Yeah, no, ma'am.
thank you.
Down dog.
And then his dad is like, I can't remember what his mom's name is, like Nancy or something. He goes, Nancy, don't say that to him. Like, it's the whole thing. And so it just turns into this like kind of lovely family moment of like the mom trying to go so hard to be like so supportive, and the dad's like, yeah, I'm happy for you, but like, can you shut up, Nancy?
Rein it back,
because this is too much. And so it's kind of a really funny
You sounded
moment.
like Hank Hill when you said, shut up, Nancy.
Shut up, Nancy. You're welcome. And so, and this is a dual POV. So now we go to Julian, who goes home, and he lives in an apartment, and he sees his friend Melissa and / neighbor, and she's like, do you want to go? I was about to do an Australian accent, and I know I shouldn't.
Don't do it.
Just keep trying. I think you should keep trying and see how it progresses over the episode.
Want to
Yes.
go out tonight?
That's pretty good.
And he's
British,
like,
but I liked it.
and well, and so also I don't know if there's a lot of like Australian slang or a lot of like gay culture Australian slang.
Yeah.
So some of the things that they say, I'm like, oh, this sounds so cringy. But he's very like, ooh, you want to go get like a nice sausage with me tonight? Like saying like they're gonna go hunting for a man.
Got it.
Okay.
And so
we don't know if it's Australian or just bad
just-
writing.
I will
Correct.
say it might be Australian.
It might be bad.
I don't
writing.
mean
Australians
to
have
generalize.
a turn of phrase that is very unique to them.
An
So we
entire
don't
culture.
know, but he says a lot of things along that line of like, can't wait to find a man mate tonight.
Liverpool. We're going Liverpool now.
No,
Do you want me to go back to JFK?
Yes.
I think you're missing.
Every
JFK
man gets a
in-
sausage tonight.
Put JFK in Liverpool is what you should.
Yeah,
do.
could you
go.
real quick?
Let me go more Hank Hill. Dang it, everyone's getting a sausage tonight. Oh my god. Anyways, so he's saying like he's talking like this with her, and they're very good friends, and it's out in the hallway, and then she kind of like freezes and like looks over his shoulder, and he turns around, and his parents are standing there,
Oh no.
and they. Oh, I should have done trigger warning. I'll do a trigger warning after this.
Did
Yeah.
he already come
Um,
out to the parents?
No, this is
he
the
is
other guy.
out.
Got it.
This is Julian. He is out. And his parents are like, get inside. And they go into his apartment. And it turns out Julian's dad has gotten him this job at the university, hence why he wants to get fired, because he doesn't want his father to have any control over him or his money. And they are abusive. They hit him for like acting homosexually outside, and they don't want it to reflect poorly on them. And he's very much like, fuck you guys. Like
Yeah.
both his mom and his dad are just like awful people. And so they're like, if you don't, and this is awful too. And they're like, he's like, I'm going to quit. And they're like, don't quit because we're going to, it gets dark. They're like, we'll send your 14-year-old cousin to your grandpa's house. And his grandpa did like abuse him as a child. So they're like,
Jesus.
so it's all just like this awful. They're really
So
rich,
they're like holding his cousin over his head.
kind of. So he like stays in line pretty much.
Okay.
And
Ugh.
he knows that his aunt.
Also, this is one character intro in a 170-page book. Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir. And so his aunt did believe him. His aunt knows about like his grandpa and stuff, and he cares a lot about his cousin. It's his uncle who is his dad's brother. He like has control over him, so he's like, you can't do anything. And so he kind of like hits him and then leaves.
Ugh.
And it's just awful. And Melissa comes in and she's like, I waited because I know what they do, and I wanted to make sure you're okay.
Aw.
And she basically like helps him out. Like he basically just has a black eye. It's nothing like terrible, but it's still bad.
It's nothing terrible. He just got punched in the face by his family.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
cray.
Yeah.
Nothing
Not too bad.
cray.
Nothing
too
cray.
cray.
Just like a whole like
So they put
an
some
eye
peas.
punch.
They
So
put
it's
some
just
peas
your-
over it.
Just your eyeballs. Nothing important. Like the
Like
like the
your
most
fingers.
fragile thing on your fucking face.
Yeah.
So a week has gone
Yeah.
by, and Maddie hasn't seen Julian. He hasn't quit the team yet. He's still hiding because he feels like a coward.
Aw.
And he still wants to play football, but he doesn't really care about any of these guys. But
Footy.
he just doesn't want to
Footy.
like. He's just worried. He's just worried and he's scared. And I
Yeah.
get that. It's been a week, so it's now time again for a rub down. He goes in and he sees Julian, who is a lot more subdued, and he has a shiner on his eye, and he is like, hey, who did this to you? And he starts feeling this like rage inside of him of like, who would touch this man? Who would do this?
Yeah.
And then he's like, why do I feel this way? Interesting. And Julian's like, don't worry about it. Just sit down. Da 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 da. So Maddie lays in the bed, and we learn as Julian is touching him, he's getting hard, and we learn he's a virgin in the sense of with a man. I think he has been with a woman, but that's irrelevant. And Maddie asks Julian a bunch of questions as he's getting a massage, and Julian kind of dodges them, and it kind of goes vice versa. So he's like, why wouldn't you tell me who did this to you? And he's like, well, why don't you tell me what you like to do on a Wednesday? And like, it just goes back and forth.
Got it.
So, and they're kind of doing this thing.
competing to not communicate better than the other man.
Yep.
And it's kind of flirty, but it's kind of like
Right.
they still don't really trust each
Defensive.
other.
Yeah.
But clearly both of them are like kind of attracted to each
Yeah,
other,
it's
but neither are
testing
going to say.
It's testing,
Testing the waters.
It's
They're testing
the homophobic
waters.
water.
Yes. So afterwards, a bunch of the guys are loitering out in the parking lot,
It's
and
pronounced littering.
they're loitering. You bitch. They're loitering in the parking lot,
The Lord, and that.
and as they're talking, they see Julian walk out, and a few of the like bad guys are like, "Hey, look at that like fag," and one of the guys,
It's Australia. It's different there.
Is it?
No,
Is
they're,
it?
they're talking about a cigarette.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's still a slur, and
It's like
it
cunt.
sucks.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And one of the guys whose last name is Lyons, we never hear his first name, is like, "Hey, don't be fucking dicks. Like, shut the fuck
Hell
up."
yeah,
And he walks
Lions.
away.
A fucking ally, bro.
And Maddie sees that, and he just like feels bad because he wishes he could stand up to them like Lyons did.
Yeah, don't be
and
a little
he's
bitch.
and he's like
Oh my
still
God,
more
am
scared.
I?
You are in
Am I the
rare
homophobe?
form,
Are you
Julie.
the problem? I love it though. And so he's just kind of like dealing with all this like mental anguish
having a lot of
inside.
feelings.
He's having a lot of
Right,
feelings.
yeah.
So the next
That is
night,
hard.
Julian and Melissa go out clubbing.
Fun.
And they're on the search for some man meat.
Some sausage.
For some sausage and a roll.
Again, Liverpool.
So British.
We're just going
You've
right
been
into Liverpool.
Bridgerton.
I think of the Beatles and I think of Australia. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Ringo does have Australia face.
He has us.
What?
I don't know what that means.
The views of Julie America do not reflect Femmes and Julie.
We gotta
I
call
gen-
Bryce and be like, hey, you know what Australia faces?
Hey Bryce, can you just speak to us for 20 minutes so we can get your accent? So they go out, they see some friends, they're hanging out, and all these, and Julian is like, oh, all these guys like you girls, like go dance with them, I'll watch your stuff, blah blah. And another guy is kind of eyeing him, and so he comes up, and they're kind of like talking and they're flirting, and Julian can tell that this guy is just like kind of nervous, but he's like, do you want to kiss? And he's like, I do. He's like, do you want to hold my hand? He's like, I kind of do. And then Melissa goes, oh, that guy that's been staring at you is coming over here. And Julian's like, what? And all of a sudden Maddie comes out of nowhere. And he's like,
He's been lurking in the corner.
he's like, hey, can you not? And Julian's like, excuse me? He goes, this guy's married. And Julian looks down, and there's just like a big old wedding ring on his finger. And he goes, I just didn't think you wanted to be a homewrecker, and like walks away basically.
Damn,
and
Maddie.
And Julian's like, he's right. I'm sorry. I don't do that. Sorry. Thank you. And he
Wow.
like walks away. And then Melissa's like, what the fuck is that? That guy has been looking at you this whole night like he wants to
Yeah.
fuck you.
Why has he
And-
been watching you and waiting for
and-
you to fuck up?
And Julian's like, he has? And Melissa's like, yeah, that guy would have like torn your clothes off if he could have, or something like that. So
Interesting.
Julian's like, well, I can't wait till Thursday. So Thursday rolls around, and Maddie is very nervous. He has not seen Julian, and he's just like, okay, it's gonna be fine, like whatever, like no big deal. And he's the last one. He's like, maybe if I'm like slow enough, like time will run out, and like I won't have to get a massage or something.
Oh.
And then the coach comes in, and he's like, listen, I gotta go early, can you lock up? And he like gives Maddie the keys, and he's like, fuck. So he has like all the time now. And he goes, and he gets on the massage table, and Julian's like immediately like, did you sleep with that girl? Oh fuck, I forgot to say. So when Maddie was like, thought you didn't want to be a homewrecker, and like turns around, there was a girl with him. And it turns out, like, from his inner monologue, it's just a friend, and
Right.
like whatever
That he's out with, yeah.
That's
just-
his Melissa.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's his Melissa. And so he's like,
You know how every queer man has
Has a
Everyone
Melissa.
has a Melissa.
straight girlfriend.
Yeah.
that's my Melissa. So Julian's like, did you sleep with that girl? Maddie's like, no. And then Julian, as he's like rubbing like his back, leans down and like kisses Maddie's neck.
Ooh.
And Maddie is
Massages
just
are already so inherently sensual, so this writer really just
They tapped into
I know.
something.
Yeah.
And Maddie is like super hard against this table, and but he's like tense, and he's like, fuck, I shouldn't do this, like I should go. But he gets up and he sees, because he's just in a towel, and Julian is like in his, I don't know, like what do masseuses wear, sweats?
I was picturing Scrubs.
I was too, a little
kind of
bit.
picturing Scrubs
Yeah.
too. So he's wearing his Scrubs.
Especially when it's like PT type. If
Yeah.
he's a physical trainer type, I'm sure he is in like a Scrubs type uniform.
Something like
they
that.
might
Or
have,
like
a sports one.
athleisure wear,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like a sweatpant type.
Yeah,
jogger,
Polo.
so he
a jogger,
sees
and a
that through
uniform
his
shirt.
Yeah.
his loose pants, maybe that Julian is also hard.
Ooh.
And Julian leans down and starts giving Maddie a hand job, and then he blows him. And I call this number one. I've seen this porno before. Oh,
Get out.
What?
Go home. Get out.
I've seen this porno before. No, they're like, that was nice. And then Maddie's like, wait, no, it wasn't. I have to go. And he like freaks out and leaves.
Oh, okay.
Because he's just he hasn't done this before. He doesn't know what to do. He
got a
doesn't
lot
know
of
what to do.
feelings.
Yeah. The next week, Maddie skips practice. He's like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to get work done. And I'm not going to see Julian. And now I don't have to talk about it. And I still like him. And I think about his face all the time. But, like, whatever. And so he stays out because he's like, I'll work at the library. And then I'll just tell my parents that I went to practice. And then I'm home for dinner. And he gets home at the normal time. And Julian is at his house. And he's like, listen, I didn't realize you, like, lived with your parents. I was just going to come and be like, I want to talk to you about this. But they were here.
Oh.
And so he came home and Nancy's like, so you're his boyfriend. And she's like,
No, Nancy.
Yep. And so
I kind of love that though. I love the idea of like a sweet,
supportive
well-meaning,
parent.
Yeah.
meddling mother. Like
Yes.
it's just like she doesn't know, but she's actually kind of wingmanning you.
Yeah, yeah. She's
Yeah.
here to help.
Like I guess I am the boyfriend.
and so his dad like sees Maddie kind of being like, I don't know what to do. So he's like, Nancy, we're going out to a movie. And Nancy's like, I
Yes.
made dinner. And he's like, damn it, woman, come on.
I had already wanted to comment on this when you first talked about dad commenting on Nancy. I love a dad that pays attention in these because the
Yeah.
trope is typically that they're tapped the fuck out.
Yeah.
And either they're angry about it or just tapped out. And I kind of love that he like notices
He's
mom
so-
is
yeah.
too much. And he's like, you know what? Let's
Nancy,
get her
we gotta
the
pull
fuck
it
outta
back.
He's like a
Yeah,
perfect
I gotta
dad.
help.
Yeah.
here. Yeah, that's sweet.
And
It's
so
like,
they're
we love Nancy, but she's a lot.
Doing a lot. Yeah.
we don't need to know all the sex details of our son's life.
Yeah.
And so they are now alone in his parents' house, and Julian's like, I was talking to them, and they mentioned that you're gay, but you haven't. I didn't know that. You didn't say anything. So like, are you? And it's okay if you are, and if you want to talk about it, like I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And and he kind of has this whole like not speech, but he's like, there's always going to be people who hate gay people, but like fuck them, and we're all kind of, and people who identify like this want to help you and want to be there for you, and it's like this lovely like kind of little speech and
Support speech.
and then he's like, but if that's not something you're ready for, like don't worry about it, and I'm just gonna go. I got a hot date, so I'm just gonna head out. And Maddie immediately is like, the fuck, and he Julian turns to leave. He like grabs his shoulder and is like, who the fuck are you going on a date with? And then he
jealous.
I'm not gay, but I'm clingy as fuck.
Yeah.
and Maddie immediately like kisses him, and then they start making out hard, and then Maddie backs off being like, sorry, it's kind of weird because this is my parents' house, and so
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, can't get hard in your childhood bedroom the
tough.
same as you used to.
not the same,
tough. Yeah.
but it's possible. And so and Julian's like, also I was joking about the date. I was gonna go hang out with my friend Melissa, and he's like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
joking too.
And so Julian's like, well, no worries. I understand that this is your parents' house. They
No
exchange-
worries is so Australian.
Make out. Okay, so they exchange numbers and they promise to go out soon because he's like, I would really like to maybe talk about this and maybe like explore some stuff and whatever.
Yay.
Julian's like, yeah, cool. And remember, Maddie is 19. Julian is 36.
Whoa, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I don't like that.
I don't either.
Fault.
The next night, Julian invites Maddie over for dinner and assures him that there is no pressure and that he can ask him whatever he wants. If he wants to try anything, of course, he's there for him, but let's just hang out.
Okay.
And so they get to talking. Julian has always wanted to be a masseuse, and Maddie is studying business. He works in real estate, yada, yada. And it's like a nice date. And as they're cleaning up, Maddie kind of makes a pass at Julian. He like, as Julian's like washing the dishes, he like kind of puts his hands on his butt and he's like, look at these buns or something like that. And things develop and they go into the bedroom. And I call this one number 2. The first time automatically rocks ? Because in most books, I guess it is. But it is.
It is.
But Julian, they do all the stuff that they've already done, like hand jobs, blowjobs, all that stuff. And then Julian's like, I want you to fuck me. So Maddie has not bottomed, but he is topping Julian. Does that make sense? Yes. So it's nothing he hasn't done before, but it's with a different person in a different hole.
Got it.
So, but that's important for later.
Okay.
Hence why I went into weird detail about it. So, okay. Okay, also Julian keeps calling him Poppet. It's like his like hun or babe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Hello, Poppet.
hello, Pop. I keep thinking of the
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Hello,
I'm like-
Poppet.
And Maddie at one point's like, I kind of like that he calls me Poppet. And I was like, I do not like it. And so a week and a half passes, and they're basically seeing each other every night. Julian comes to dinner with his parents.
But it's not anything serious.
They're pretty much, they're like, we're in. There's like a whole moment where Julian's like, you can go explore if you want to, but like, I really like you.
I'm exclusive.
Yes. And well, I really like you. And if you want to stay with me, I would love that. And Maddie's like, you're it for me. And it's like, oh, okay. They're both like in.
Yeah.
Fast.
So one night they go out and they get into a fight when Julian, who is a natural flirt, kind of makes Maddie jealous while at a bar, but not like on purpose. It's just like he's just a naturally flirty guy.
Yeah.
And so they kind of get into a fight and he storms out of his apartment. And Melissa, who was outside the apartment, hears the fight. These must be really thin walls. And pulls Maddie into her apartment as he's leaving. And she's like, hold up. You got to learn some shit about Julian. And she kind of like gives him his background, being like, this is where he comes from. These are his parents. And
Also, he's been on the planet twice as long as you.
Yeah.
literally.
That's the thing that's
Almost
kind of
literally.
baffling me is that this is the older person and their friend is needing to be the one to communicate their situation to Maddie.
Well, and he tries to like explain it to Maddie, being like, I just want to be who I am.
Right.
But he's not going into detail, but he's trying to say like that's enough. But I think, so I understand. And I think like maybe they're drunk and in the heat of the moment, nothing is coming out the way it should. But I agree with you on that.
Sometimes you need details.
Yes.
Especially if
for
you're
this,
planning on dating
there
someone.
needs to be details.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that's not like unheard of that a 36-year-old man doesn't communicate properly. I'm not
Right.
saying it's not in the realm of our belief. I
Yes.
just hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she tells him about like his parents and how they hurt him and how, because of all that,
Yeah.
he wants to be proud of who he is and
Okay.
da 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 da. And he's
Damn,
the
the
most.
friend's just over here out in all his
Right?
fucking
Yeah.
dirty laundry.
And the big thing is that like he's the most loyal. Like that's what she like hammers home. And Maddie's like, okay. And so he ends up going back to the apartment and he knocks and he's like, I'm so sorry. And Julian's like, I was just coming to get you. I wanted to explain stuff. So it helped. It helped open a door
Yeah.
for communication.
Great.
The next Thursday, Lyons, the cool guy, kind of comes up to Maddie and says something, and Maddie's like, "What?" And it's like this confirming suspicion of like, "Hey, I think, are you gay? Because it seems like you are." I don't remember what he said, but he's like, "And that's okay with me, and I'm happy."
yeah, but if it's really okay with you, don't bring it up.
Don't. Yeah. Just.
It was
yeah,
it was like
just be
something.
A friend.
Cool.
It was like the way he
Yeah.
like reacted.
Right,
it
right,
was
right,
like
right.
very obvious, and he's like, I support you. I
Yeah.
know some people on this team don't, so I just want you to be careful. Like that's
Got
basically
it.
what he was
So
saying.
it's from like a
Got
more
But he
like
kind of
Trying to get ahead of it.
yeah.
preservation
But he felt he
place.
was like, okay, like I'm glad that
Yeah, that's
someone
okay.
this isn't gonna blow
Also,
everything
we gotta
up.
remember it's Australia.
Yeah, we don't know
Yeah,
what
we
things
don't
are
know
like
what's
down
going
there.
on
It
there.
ain't Chicago.
I also didn't write down the date, so I don't know when this takes place. Sorry, guys. And so Maddie goes in for his massage, and he gets the keys again from the coach because the coach is like, I got a hot date, gotta go. And so he goes in, and he's like, Julian, we're alone. And he's like, oh my God, what? And he's like, I want to have sex with you because this is like the place where it all started. So like, are
Feels
you
risky,
in?
but okay.
And I call this one number 3. Thank God they already have massage oil, in which Maddie bottoms, and it brings them closer than ever. So
Great.
they're having a great time. So Julian, in the next chapter,
Congrats, boys, but who's sanitizing the massage table?
it's
Somebody better.
Yeah, I don't know if it's his, if he's like bringing it with him,
Right, like this
or
is the community.
I'm hoping they have some
table?
Windex.
Anyway,
So Julian talked. We find out he talked to his aunt, who was on like a big vacation, probably in like the middle of Australia, where like she couldn't be reached.
Got it.
Okay, so Julian talked to his aunt, and she believes him. She believes him, and she immediately left like her husband, who she wasn't even crazy about, but like, the husband was the dad's brother.
So she left the blackmailer guy.
So the dad is the bad guy.
Right.
Dad's
Right.
brother.
oh, I thought it was uncle. That was bad.
No, it's
Okay.
his dad.
Cool.
So his uncle is related by blood.
Okay.
Aunt and daughter are aunt and daughter. So she took her daughter and was like, don't worry, I'm getting out of this situation. So that cannot be used against you anymore. Like, if you want to get out from under your dad's thumb or whatever.
So
like,
Auntie's an ally.
Yeah, Auntie is a great ally.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
And so he's like feeling good. He's like, okay, she's safe. I don't have to do I don't ever have to talk to my parents again. Like, this is great.
I don't have to protect her anymore.
Yes. And his dad immediately comes over and is like, what the fuck did you do? Like, I will always have power over you, blah, blah.
Ugh.
And he like beats him up. Melissa calls Maddie in the next chapter, and she's like, I took him to the hospital.
Yeah.
He's not great, but he's not critical.
This is
He's
so
gonna be
dark.
fine. Yeah, sorry. I tried.
It's not your fault.
And so
But whoever wrote this, no, I'm just kidding.
that's what don't ever
call
read
them.
any like motorcycle club stuff. It's always gonna be super
Really?
dark. Yeah. Or like it's pretty dark.
Yeah, motorcycle stuff tends to be darker.
I kind of like it.
It's
Fuck
fun.
is motorcycle stuff.
There's like a whole
club,
subgenre.
like Sons of Anarchy, like
Sons of
motorcycle
Anarchy.
gang.
Okay.
That's it's a genre.
Got it.
Which I like.
romance.
Like
Not
Hell's
crazy.
Angels moment.
Yes.
Yes.
But
They
but
protect
like
their
the,
own.
the genre of like motorcycle. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's
Yeah,
a
so this
whole
is in that
I didn't know
universe.
if there was like a term I was missing where it's like,
No.
motorcycle stuff.
And
vroom, vroom.
It's like MC Club is usually
Got
like
it.
the series kind of thing. So he's with his parents at the time. He freaks out. His parents and Maddie go to the hospital. They see Julian, and Melissa tells them everything that happened. And Maddie is just like, fuck this. I'm going to find his dad, and I'm going to kick his ass. And
Hell yeah.
And Maddie's dad
that
is
old
like,
man's ass.
Maddie's dad is like, I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
This big ex-army guy.
I love Maddie's dad.
I
and
do
I
too.
need Nancy to be back there cheering him on with
yeah.
the orange
Well,
slices.
And I'm sure Nancy is like with
got
Julian.
water.
Yeah, she's got the
Oranges.
sword.
So-
yeah.
so they go to
She's
this-
soccer mom,
Yes.
football mom.
So they go to this big mansion and they find him. They corner him into this office. They basically like talk to him and like threaten him and scare him so much.
But rich people can't be bad parents.
What?
Yeah, they scare him so much that he wets his pants.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yep. And then Maddie's kind of like
Emasculating.
about to like start beating his ass, and his dad's like, "No, son, we're better than that."
We've done enough.
Let's take a
Done enough.
picture of him in his wet pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they like see his mom on the way out, and Maddie's like, "Fuck you, you're a terrible mother and a terrible person."
Wow.
And she's like, so it's just like, oh, fuck off.
Gross.
So Julian gets better. Maddie quits the university job. He quits the team Julian quits the university job of being a masseuse.
Yep.
He's his own massage
Okay.
therapist now. Maddie quits the team. And at his last, at Julian's last like rub down special, he comes and he like picks up and he goes, "Sorry," like to the guys. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm picking up my boyfriend and we're going out." And he like officially like kind of comes out to his like social circle.
I would have had streamers.
And, fuck you, and he like throws
like
the streamers
the
up.
the Bo
or like one
Burnham.
of those poppers. Like,
Yeah.
Yes. And he comes out to his teammates, and then basically 4 years later,
Diana Ross played in the background,
This-
royalty free.
yes, royalty free. This is when it gets into the stuff of, oh, I should. The stuff they say next is stuff that if you had read the rest of the series, you would understand more. But they're saying 4 years later, like after we buried my parents, but don't worry, it wasn't actually my parents. We're like, and I go, okay, wait. So he thinks his parents died, but actually they went into hiding maybe with Zara, but he reunites with Zara.
I was
but
gonna
all
say,
this
did
stuff.
gotta
Zara
read this
ever?
whole
I was
story.
gonna say, did Zara?
Zara
ever
comes
come
back. Zara
Like,
comes
this
back.
is 2 years before Zara. Zara was not even a fucking relevant character.
Yes. Also, and
Who
so
cares?
it says 4 years later, he's with his sister.
Yeah, what is this
They've-
fandom?
Well,
We
it's
don't
not
know.
it's not
It's
a
just-
fandom. It's a Kindle.
Oh, it's just a novella.
What is the series called? Is what Julie's asking.
Oh, I didn't write it down, but it's like a motorcycle
okay.
thing. I can find it
Yeah,
though.
no, I don't. I
But,
was just curious.
4 years later, a bunch of stuff happens. Maddie reunites with his sister, and he asks Julian to marry him.
Oh wow.
And they live happily ever after. Maybe I haven't read the rest of the series. But,
Cute.
I mean,
so that's
hopefully they wait until
ho-
he's 23.
maybe. And
Maybe.
so that's coming out by Lila Rose.
Lila Rose.
And I just have like a little would you rather game. And so it's first, and these are not, these are so stupid. But okay, the first one was, would you rather make out like in the anteroom of the locker room with all of your like teammates still in there, or would you rather make out like in the kitchen of your parents' house?
Locker room.
Are my parents awake?
Well, I guess in this one the parents left, but it's just the idea of being in the parents'
I could
house.
do
If my
house is
parents
fine.
left, parents' house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
parents'
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so if the people, no, I'm gonna keep people in the locker room, I guess. So yeah, I was gonna say I guess parents' house because it'd be more like safe, like we
Yeah.
wouldn't get interrupted.
Yeah.
But I think like the fun, like this could happen, like the dangerous element of the locker room is
Yeah.
sexier.
My parents are also predictable parents. Like they have a pretty set routine.
know,
of
like, when they're
boring
coming.
shit.
Yeah.
You'll
to
know
where,
where
like,
they're-
I'm like,
what they're doing.
If they're leaving the house, they've told me an exact time they'll be home because that's when they'll be tired. So
Yeah.
it's easy for me to be like, okay,
Fair.
cool.
Fair.
I'll free the kitchen up in 35 minutes. Like,
And so the next one is would you rather be like the flirt in the relationship, or would you rather be the partner of the flirt?
Oh, both are fun.
As someone who is very flirty,
yeah.
I can't really imagine. I mean, I guess I have dated people who are also flirty.
I'm flirty and I date flirts and non-flirts. I prefer
Yeah.
to date the flirts, one, because like we've mentioned before,
There's
in the
an
past,
understanding.
It is kind
Yeah.
of sexy too to be like, haha, he still got it, and
Yeah.
that's hot. You get to
Yeah.
like see them in third person and like watch it, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's usually me on the other end, you know. And there's something really sexy about them getting it and not being jealous types, because
Yeah.
you can be like, bitch, you were talking like that, you were tapping Dana's shoulder at fucking whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Last one.
Okay.
Would you rather beat up Julian's dad, or would you rather scare him into peeing his pants?
Scare him into peeing his pants. Why would I exert any more energy on this person than
it
I
would
need
make
to?
you feel good. Make you feel good. Like physical things make you feel good.
Physical
sometimes.
things make me
Rage
feel good.
rooms.
I feel like
if you
to
will.
scare him into peeing his pants, you got to be a little like come in ready to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's both. It's different types of energy you're exerting.
I would much rather
You're a scarier
psychologically intimidate someone because I think it lasts longer.
That's fair.
And yeah, to me, I'm just not a big violence person because, okay, I love boxing. Love it. One of my favorite things. I don't want to be hit, so I'll never really box. I'll
Yeah.
kickbox. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to get
Yeah.
hit back. So my thing is, I'm so afraid of getting my ass beat
Right.
that I will never beat an ass.
I
So
understand
I
that.
am strategically anti-violent, pacifist, all of those things, simply for self-preservation. Like, simply because I'm so afraid
I
of
understand.
getting hit in the face.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with, like, I know my own strength. I would beat the shit out of somebody. But if they hit me back, I don't like that.
I don't wanna.
I want my teeth first. I like my teeth.
I was thinking, I kind of like the idea of like doing a psychological thing, but also getting like you
Just a
turn
licking.
to leave, and then you just smack it like
Yeah,
right
just
in
a
the
little
face.
One good
licking.
punch.
Like you want one. I want one good punch.
I want to
I
hold his
understand.
arms back while his son punches him.
Yeah.
Like, I want the catharsis of that, the vindication of it
Yeah.
all.
But
Like,
that
it's
was,
like, I didn't need to beat his ass, but if I saw what he did, I would have needed to beat his ass. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
You would feel it but not want to
great,
do it.
would you rather? Great story.
yeah,
Oh,
that was my
Second
story. Thank you,
Excellent.
thank you for coming on this journey with me, and that was that.
You know how many raccoons are here?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us how many.
us
what your ratings for these stories?
Yours gets 5.
Mine gets 5.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm giving it 5. I was immersed
The
again.
fanfic?
It was a
Yeah.
really good one.
It was a
like
really
I would
good
want to
one.
read that story.
It was believable, and like not having any context for it, but still felt like I did.
Yeah.
And maybe it is the whole David Tennant thing, but yeah, there was just something about it that just felt like a really beautiful, real story. I felt the emotions of all of them.
Thank you. I was worried, given
liked
such a big element of it was like the tweets and everything, that I wouldn't be able to say it properly. So I'm glad it landed. 'Cause,
Yeah, no.
it is a beautiful.
It came
story.
through well.
I
It-
do highly recommend people.
It was
read
really well written. Like,
Yeah.
I was in it. Like, literally, I was calling out shit because I'm like, what? Nobody would act like that. And I'm like, oh, it's a story. She can write whatever she wants.
She can do whatever.
It's an alternate universe. Yours, I'm giving 3
Okay,
because it's a heavy one and it hurt my feelings.
but someone still came out. In it.
You know,
Someone did.
That's the
you
part.
did it.
Hey, your work, 5. You get
You
12
did it.
raccoons, okay? But the story itself, what it
That's
gave
fair.
to me and my soul, I'd probably give it more of a
Gave a
2,
little
but I knew
hurt.
you'd be hurt about it.
Gave a little hurt.
Because
That's
you put so much work in that I gave you an extra raccoon.
That-
Okay, your first raccoon is from that first trash can you invested in, and he crawled over to your second trash can.
This one, it was like a time sensitive thing, and it like I just can't stress enough like how stressful it was.
Honestly, so funny. Yeah, just in general, the whole point and the reason I like listening to y'all is because I know you like reading it. Like, so I don't
Yeah.
want it to feel like work for you. I don't
Thank
want it
you,
to.
yes.
I know it will sometimes, period,
Yeah.
because it is work. But you know, it's
fun work.
The point of it is this is the work
Enjoyment.
we choose.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Was there anything from this episode, Julie,
That made
or
you
in life
in life.
that you would like us to discover and talk about and enumerate on for the next episode.
As someone who was struggling with what a trope is, I have gone down a rabbit hole of reading a bunch of different ones that I would be interested in general.
Ooh, okay.
And now naturally I am going to try to tie it back to what we've learned today. But first of all, I want to talk about WAFF. WAFF.
What's that?
Warm and fuzzy feeling.
Oh,
Okay.
It's a
Fluff,
fan
if you will.
fiction
Fluff.
designed to be cute. Fluff, WAFF is what I found on this. And I really like that. And I feel like that's just a theme we've been talking about in general.
Yeah.
that's
So I'm gonna
something
give that-
you talk about and then you go cuckolding.
Also, yeah, but also, give me the darkest.
But have it be fun.
So, the go seduce my arch nemesis trope, which is exploiting your nemesis or your enemy and trying to seduce them into like whatever the fuck, just to like get back at them, and then of course,
then
you know,
probably falling in love. So
Usually.
basically an enemies to ish,
but a
ish.
fun-
but it's more
there's a
it's,
mission.
but it doesn't have to be enemies to lovers. It can just be
or like
one of them is in love and one
Actually,
of them is
there are a
Yeah.
ton of
Posed.
sports books that are like that.
Really?
Of like, so and so dumped me.
the
I'm
rival
gonna fuck his
teammate.
rival. Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say it's giving like the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce conspiracies. If you've read some of them,
No,
some of
what
them
are
are
they?
that Taylor Swift's dad is a fan of his opposing
Eagles?
team.
The Eagles, yeah.
One of the opposing teams that Kelsey's on, and so they're convinced that they're going to go to the playoffs this year, and she's going to break up with him right before the playoffs, and like it's going to be this whole
It's a
thing.
long
Like
con.
a long con
that
for
would
dad.
be
Oh my
crazy,
God.
and I would love to hear
And I'm
about
like,
that, but I hope not. I hope they're
that
there
to me
for-
is giving this like arch
Yes.
nemesis
Yes.
trope where it doesn't necessarily have to happen like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be enemies to lover. Of
No,
course
no,
that
I know
could
what
be
you
a
mean.
potential, but I kind of like the idea
I've
that
read
it was
a
like
bunch.
out of shystiness.
Yeah.
I
Like,
love
I read a
that.
bunch like that actually.
Okay, we're gonna do that.
Can we
one
do
then.
that one?
Yeah,
I'd love
seducing your
that.
arch
Both
nemesis.
of y'all lit up, so I like that better too.
Okay.
Seducing an enemy. Let's do
Yeah.
it
Seducing an
more
enemy.
vague.
Yeah.
Seducing an enemy.
Hey Julie.
What are you in?
Aaron.
Irene. I am currently reading a very, I want to call it boring, but it would seem boring to people who are. It's called Comedy Against Capitalism.
Wow.
Drink.
Julie.
It's on
Drink,
brand.
drink.
It's on brand. It's this woman who she's a comedian, and she talks about. It's honestly really brilliant so far. I'm barely into it, and I've already highlighted like 80% of it.
Wow.
But it's very much talking about how comedy is the antithesis of capitalism in a lot of ways, because we look to joy and laughter and that industry on its own in a different light, and we need to take more of that into like how we treat capitalism so that we can all be successful and switch to a better system. But like
Interesting.
with my whole anti-capitalism things, it's been a journey, because obviously you can't just like uproot a system. People will get
Yeah.
hurt. It doesn't work like that. Nobody wants to change that quickly.
Yeah.
So I've been doing more research on like, what do we actually fucking do as individuals? Because I'm
Right.
so tired of hearing we got to fix the system.
What is actually
What does it mean?
actually achievable
What does
on an
that look
individual
like?
level? Yeah.
And these are very cool books in between that are very much like, hey, this would be the in-between types. We've already got it in these different ways. This is how it shows up in your comedy world. This is already how it shows up in this world.
Uh-huh.
How can we
turn up the dial a
yeah,
bit.
improve our community relationships? You know, every time you share your lawnmower with a neighbor, you're doing communism or whatever. Like,
Hey, Emily.
Hey, yeah.
Where?
So technically, nothing.
Ooh.
we love that for
Christmas
you.
burnt you out, huh?
Yeah, that's just the double up.
Christmas really burnt me out. But I was trying to do that. I am literally, I've told this to like 4 people and I haven't done it yet. I'm about to start Fourth Wing, which has been a long time
yeah.
coming. Yes, other things have gotten in the way, but it's literally on my bed, ready for me to start.
Got it.
And then the other night I was so tired that I was like, okay, I can't start this right now. But I want to read something. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't start a book that I know I will start reading for like hours.
Right.
So I started reading Finding Hermione again, which is one of
Yeah.
my favorite fan fictions about an older Hermione, and Draco helps her when Ron cheats on her with Lavender Brown.
Always.
And they have a brood of children. They just run up to them on the platform. It's a whole thing.
typical Ron.
Hold on. I do want to bring up a trope I did not read today because I really loved it, and it was called
Is it
Ron
Ron
the Death
bashing?
Eater.
Oh,
It was
Ron
Ron
the
the Death Eater, and it says a nice character is perceived as being worse than they are in canon. So like I wouldn't hate that as a trope, like where it's like, you know, you're reading about a character where we usually like them and now
We've flipped
Yeah.
it.
or whatever, like a Ron. People hate Ron. We
Yeah,
hate Ron.
I hate Ron.
I hate Ron in the sense of a Hermione fiction.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
in the
got it.
movies,
It's
he's
always
fine.
a very useful
Yes,
device.
I only read like Ron bashing fics
too.
usually.
That's funny.
Great.
Noise.
Hey, Jess. What are you reading?
I'm re-listening to the audiobook for A Court of Silver Flames.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot to start that too.
Yes. But yeah, I'm about halfway through that, and then I'm
Cool.
also reading a Good Omens fanfic
Nice.
that I'm literally like a paragraph into, and it's called Petrichor and Parchment, wherein Aziraphale is a bookbinder and Crowley is a gardener in a small town. And that's all I know, and I'm very excited.
Sexy, like those
Honestly,
are really
yes.
sexy.
I think it'll be
professions.
very cute.
I think it's gonna be fun.
I think it's going to be very fluffy and sweet, and it's one of the more popular ones in the fandom. So as I work my way through, I was like, okay, we'll check this one out. So
Hell yeah.
excited. yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah.
So join us next time.
For seducing
seducing the enemy.
seducing the enemy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
This is gonna be a fun one.
it's gonna be good.
I'm excited.
All right.
Until then, we're just two raccoons.
Talking about
The best
trash in town. Bye.
Stunning.
Femmes Reading Filth is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Barusian and Jessica Mall. Intro music by Tom Lehrer. Outro music by David Reddick. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Femmes Reading Filth. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.